Good afternoon and welcome to today's proceedings of the Senate, this being the 28th day of April 2020. This broadcast is brought to you by the Parliamentary Broadcasting Unit in conjunction with the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. The broadcast is available on KBC TV as well as Senate TV. This afternoon, the nominated Senator Abshiro Halake, will make a statement on the marginalization of the Muslim population with regards to access to finances given to micro, small, and medium enterprises, women, youth, and persons with disability by government institutions. The Senator for Vihiga County, Senator George Kaniri, will make a statement regarding government response to the COVID-19 pandemic, accountability on government expenditure, and enforcement of measures to mitigate against the pandemic. And pursuant to Standing Order 48, subsection 1, nominated Senator Sylvia Kasanga will seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Health regarding the operations of the National Hospital Insurance Fund. And nominated Senator Petronila Were Lokorio will seek a statement from the Ad Hoc Committee on the COVID-19 situation in Kenya on the demotion of Dr. Joel Lutomia from the Kenya Medical Research Institute. And pursuant to Standing Order 51, subsection 1B, the chairperson of the Ad Hoc Committee on COVID-19 situation in Kenya will issue a statement concerning the burial of Mr. James Oyugi Onyango, a resident of Simor village in Ugenya constituency of Siaya County, who died after reportedly contracting COVID-19. Also this afternoon, there will be a message from the National Assembly, and this message will be read out by the Speaker of the Senate. And the message is on the approval of the Senate amendments to the Division of Revenue Bill, National Assembly Bill number 3 of 2020. As well, there are a number of papers which will be laid on the table of the Senate this afternoon, one by the Chairperson Ad Hoc Committee, and it is on the third progress report of that committee on COVID-19 situation in Kenya. The Public Health COVID-19 restriction of movement of persons and related measures, variations rules 2020, legal notice 56 of 2020, and the Public Health COVID-19 restriction of movement of persons and related measures, variation rules number 2 of 2020, legal notice 58 of 2020, will also be laid on the table of the Senate by the Senate Majority Leader. The Chairperson, Standing Committee on Finance and Budget, will lay on the table of the Senate report of the Standing Committee regarding the implementation status of the Senate resolution on county government's infrastructure projects comprising county executive headquarters, offices, assembly chambers, and office and county state officers' residences. And among other businesses which will be transacted by the Senate this afternoon, there will be a motion on the approval of senators to serve in respective sessional and standing committees. One of those committees is the Committee on County Public Accounts and Investment. There are 9 senators who have been nominated to serve in this committee. Among them, Senator Franklin Mithika-Linturi, the senator for Meru County, Senator Argura Godana, senator for Marsabit County, Senator Paul Matangi Kimani, senator for Kiambu County, Senator Millicent Tomanga nominated, Senator Irungu Kangata of Muranga, Senator Professor Sam Ongeri of Kisii, Senator Ledamo Lekina of Narok County, and Senator Dr. Uchila Yako of Migori County, and finally Senator Jonas Maruma of Taita Taveta County. The Committee on Delegated Legislation, Senator Samuel Pugisho of West Pokot County, Senator Victor Brengay, Senator Philip Mpaye, Senator Faria Ali, Senator Millicent Omanga, Senator Judith Pareno, Senator Boniface Kabaka, Senator Okongo Mogeni, and Senator Faki Mohammed of Mombasa County. And C, Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations, that pursuant to Standing Order 189, the Senate approved Senator made a senator to replace Senator Johnson Sakaja to serve in the Standing Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations. This motion will be debated this afternoon, and we will be waiting to see the result of that deliberation. Also, in the order of business, this afternoon, a motion by the Chairperson Standing Committee on Finance and Budget, and it's on the adoption of the report of the Committee on the Finance and Budget regarding the implementation status of the Senate resolution on county government's infrastructure projects. The Pandemic Response and Management Bill, Senate Bills number 6 of 2020, will also be debated for the second reading. This bill is courtesy of the Ad Hoc Committee on COVID-19 situation in Kenya. Other bills which have been scheduled for second reading include the Fisheries Management and Development Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 22 of 2019, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Amendment number 3 Bill, National Assembly Bills number 35 of 2019. And in the committee of the All House, the senators will be considering some proposed amendments to two bills. One, the consideration of National Assembly amendments to the Office of the County Attorney Bill, Senate Bills number 3 of 2018, and the consideration of the National Assembly amendments to the Petition to County Assemblies Procedure Bill, Senate Bills number 22 of 2018. The Chairperson, Ad Hoc Committee, will move a motion on the third progress report of the Ad Hoc Committee on COVID-19 situation in Kenya. There are also some other bills which are in the order of business this afternoon. The National Drought Management Authority Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills number 26 of 2019, and the Reproductive Healthcare Bill, Senate Bills number 23 of 2019. This bill is courtesy of the Senator for Nakuru County, Senator Susan Kihika. The nominated Senator, Senator Rose Nyamunga, also has a motion in the order of business. It's on recognizing and appreciating the elderly by county governments. If you're just joining us, the business of the Senate is about to begin. The Senate Deputy Speaker, Senator Professor Kithure Kindiki, is now walking into the chambers. I will hand you over for this live broadcast. My name is Edward Kabasa. Good afternoon.
Order.
One, we did not open pubs for business. Pubs remain closed until further notice. Only restaurants and eateries have been granted the window to reopen, but only after meeting the requisite standards of hygiene and safety. On the requirement of mass testing of eateries and restaurant workers, this is a necessary intervention to break the cycle to limit the possibility of transmission within such establishments. On this matter, we are working on a plan to have all food handlers tested. This is in the face of challenges regarding some of the essential components for testing. We call for patience and cooperation of the management of these facilities. We encourage those facilities that can arrange for private testing of their staff to do so in consultation with the Ministry of Health. A detailed protocol on these guidelines will be posted on the Ministry of Health website and will be shared through public media in due course. Restaurant management must read and understand these guidelines as the reopening is predicated on full compliance to the guidelines. When I finish, Dr. Kuria, who's on my right here, and who is our acting director for the Directorate of Public Health, will talk some more on these protocols and guidelines. Fellow Kenyans, regarding our COVID-19 situation, I'm glad to note that today we have discharged a total of 10 patients. This brings to 124 the total number of recoveries, which is very encouraging indeed. I want to take this opportunity once again to sincerely thank our healthcare workers and all those who have contributed to these achievements. I also want to assure Kenyans that COVID-19 disease is treatable. With proper management and care, patients have healed and reintegrated back to society. Therefore, there is no need for us to stigmatize this disease. As we celebrate the recoveries, let me remind Kenyans that this is not the time to celebrate and lose sight of the ball. The enemy is still in our midst. It is therefore absolutely necessary that we continue to strictly observe the containment measures that have consistently been advocated for by the Ministry of Health. Of containing the spread of infections. And this has been proven in many of the countries that are mounting a response to this COVID-19 disease. Fellow Kenyans, on our latest COVID-19 situation, I want to report that we have 11 new cases out of 589 samples tested in the last 24 hours. Our total number of COVID-19 positive cases now stand at 374. In today's cases, there are 2 children aged 3 years and the oldest is 75 years. Out of the 11 cases, 7 are from Nairobi and 4 from Mombasa. Of the 7 Nairobi cases, 4 cases are from Kawangware and 1 from Isli, Manji Estate and Kaloleni. All the 4 Mombasa cases are from Kibokoni, that is the old town. We therefore want to request residents of these areas to take extra measures to avoid contracting the virus. It is important to note that the trend of positive cases in the last few days has been restricted to Nairobi and Mombasa. This is indicative of increased local transmission in these 2 counties. We have therefore enhanced contact tracing, surveillance, and infection control management in these counties. The rest of the counties are strongly advised to continue observing the containment measures. I also want to take this opportunity to encourage our security forces to continue the good job of ensuring that people do not leave and get into these counties with restricted movements. And to the rest of the country and the inhabitants of these counties, I continue to plead for your patience, cooperation, and understanding. Together we shall beat this virus and resume our jobs, schools, businesses, and social interaction. We can, once we have beaten it, revive our economy. Cumulatively, the age group of 30 to 59 continue to carry the burden of this disease in our population. They account for 224 cases, roughly 60% of the 374 total cases registered to date. When you add to these the 99 cases in the age group of 15 to 29, We have a figure of 323 cases from our most active segment, that is between 15 to 59 years. We therefore encourage these groups to rededicate their energies in observing the containment effort. I will read out to you now the distribution of cases by county. Homa Bay has one confirmed case, Kajiado 3, Kakamega 1, Kiambu 5, Kilifi 9, Kitui 2, Kwale 1, Mandera 8, Mombasa 97, Nairobi 241, and between Nairobi and Mombasa cases, they account for 90% of our cases. Nakuru 2, Siaya 2, Uasin Gishu 1, and Kwale 1. That brings it to the 374 confirmed cases that we are reporting as of today. Thank you, and allow me now to request Dr. Kuria to step up to the podium and talk on the guidelines and protocols for food, eateries and restaurants.
Thank you, CS, members of the fourth estate. As the CS has rightly put it, yesterday there was an announcement that restaurants and eateries may be reopening. And indeed, from the social media, you've learned that indeed some did open restaurants and eateries, and some even opened pubs. Some may have seen these guidelines from elsewhere, and some have asked questions as to how they are going to be implemented. Let's put it as the Ministry of Health that the guidelines will be rolled out through the MOH website in the next few minutes. The guidelines, and as to why the CS pointed out that those restaurants are not opened, was to provide structured way of reopening these restaurants and eateries so that all the measures that the ministry had put in place to contain COVID-19 can be maintained, while at the same time allowing some opening for business to run. The guidelines therefore provide a way, the structured way, that the restaurants and eateries are going to reopen these restaurants and eateries. So as the CS has said here, they are not open, and they shall only be open when you fulfill the guidelines provided in this protocol. The guidelines are not very punitive. They're only reinforcing the social distancing measures and hygiene measures that have always been advocated by the ministry. And there are not new requirements. What we are saying is that those restaurants and eateries that have been operating, they had health approvals. And they knew, every hotel operator or restaurant operator knew that you had to apply for a permit to operate a restaurant or eatery through the county public health department. So these guidelines are only, or protocols are there to reinforce the extra hygiene measures that will be taken during this COVID-19 pandemic. And they basically talk about the same distance that have been told to maintain of 1.5 meters between one person and the other, the use of face masks, the need for continued screening, and the need to sanitize at all times. And all the prerequisites simply state that you'll be allowed to open your restaurant between 5 a.m. and 4 p.m. until further notice. And this is upon reading and implementing the provisions of this protocol. As I said, these protocols will be accessible from the Ministry website, www.health.go.ke. Eateries and restaurants then will be required to install hard wash facilities, complete with hot and running cold water, hygienically operated taps, detergent soap, sanitizer, and operate hard drying at the entry of their kitchens. Restaurants can reopen safely during the coronavirus pandemic by limiting diners to at least 4 people per every 10 square meters of space. There may be challenges here in some restaurants or some eateries that don't have this kind of space, and they would have to put in arrangements by limiting the number of customers that enter your premises, because we cannot risk losing all the gains you have made by trying to open restaurants and you cannot obey the social distancing measures that we had put in place. Then for those who have dining facilities in their restaurants, the tables in the dining areas must be spaced 1.5 meters apart, and the seat customer groups at least 1.5 meters apart. For those who had booked events or banquets, we have encouraged them, at least during this pandemic, to postpone or cancel those events altogether if you are going to host more than 15 attendees. And between the tables, the distance back to back from one chair to the next one should not be less than 1 meter. And those guests that face each other from a distance of at least 1 meter. If events and banquets are held at the facility for smaller groups, you work with event organizers to ensure that individuals who are sick with coronavirus symptoms do not attend those events, and that those attendees in those banquets are spaced at least 6 feet apart. And we are to temporarily discontinue self-service, and we encourage leaders to eat foods as much as possible. As for food service, again, we are discouraging self-service, and customers shall have their meals served or delivered individually to the dining table by appointed restaurant stewards. There are other measures, of course, concerning the food handlers, the medical screening for the food handlers, and more importantly, is that for all those restaurants and eateries, they will be required to install a contact-free thermometer and ensure that every person entering the premises has his or her body temperature taken. Anybody coming at a temperature of above 37.5 should not be allowed to enter those restaurants and eateries. And then all restaurants and eateries must provide a hand washing station with clean water and soap at the main entrance to the premises. And the effluent water from those eateries, some have been seen to be running off into the streets, are to be discouraged, and they must all drain into an existing sewerage system. And then all restaurants are required to provide 70% alcohol-based sanitizers at entrances and other areas where there are shared surfaces, such as dining tables and counters. For the hotel workers, any staff member, as I said earlier, or a reveller with a temperature above 37.5 degrees Celsius shall not be allowed entry into the premises, and the premises shall immediately notify the Ministry of Health through their toll-free number 719 for guidance. And most importantly, all food workers deployed to work in those restaurants must be tested and certified to be COVID-19 negative by a government-certified laboratory. The measure here is we do not want anyone who is COVID positive working in a restaurant and posing any risk either to his fellow workers or to those customers entering those premises. There is a detailed guidelines as to how you'll be required to open your restaurant. So as the CS has said, you're not supposed to open until your premises have been inspected. On the website, you will find guidelines on how you are going to apply for a new permit. And the guidelines foremost is that you must show at least that you read and understand the protocols well, and then implement all the provisions that we have read out, that you read in the guidelines and the protocol for managing those restaurants and eateries. Then some may require that you develop SOPs that you are going to follow some of the protocols highlighted here. Then you have to submit an application using Form A, which is again on the website, for a permit to operate food business, and submit this to the county public health officer dealing with food safety. And then once you download and fill in your form, present to the county public health officer, then you'll be required to open your premises for official inspection. There is a form we have provided to all county public health officers that they will go through, and there's a checklist that we'll be going through to make sure that you comply with all those requirements. Once again, I point out here, the requirements are to ensure that all the gains you have made in containing this pandemic are not lost by opening these restaurants. And we urge a lot of patience for the operators as they get inspected. Please be patient and do not open until you are fully inspected and licensed. And then you must provide evidence that all the workers in that facility have gone through medical screening and have tested negative for COVID-19 at a laboratory designated by the government. The CS has pointed out here, those large establishments may seek this testing from private facilities. This, bearing in mind the current constraints we have in supply chain of testing kits and sampling kits, those who may wish to visit private facilities are encouraged to do so. Word of caution here is that there could be others out there who say they are going to offer this testing using rapid tests. You said you must do this in consultation with the Ministry of Health, because those rapid tests are still not yet approved by the Ministry of Health. Then you only commence operations, and we repeat here, you only commence operations of those premises upon receipt of a permit from the county director, the public health to operate food business during the period of COVID-19 pandemic. I'll stop at that, and thank you very much.
My first question would be on the reopening of restaurants. I would advised that why were restaurants given a priority, because there are also other places like places of which could also operate under similar or more strict guidelines. Number two, the enforcement of the safety of our security officers who are enforcing or ensuring that Kenyans are not flouting the curfew or the inter-county movement. I'm also worried that who is really ensuring that they are safe, because most of them may lack, let's say, masks, and also because we are in abnormal moments, the arrest of people, the way it's being done, does it really show, or does it not portray that could be another contact of spread of COVID-19? And then lastly, what are some of the services that the government is really offering, especially to either contacts or patients of COVID-19? Because if, for example, you are told to choose a government facility, I understand there's some fee that you're paying for you to be quarantined. So is it testing of COVID-19 that the government is taking care of? Is it quarantine? Is it treatment? Kindly a clarification on that.
That's the last one. My name is Stephen Leto from Citizen TV. I'll tie my question to the opening of food and eatery joints. My question is with regard to the testing of the staff that will be undertaking that exercise. What happens when the hundreds and thousands of the staff go to be tested? are they tested and allowed to go back home, are waiting for the results, or they will have to be isolated until their results come out? And my last question, we've seen India has have been using faulty testing kits that they procured from China. I want to know, where did we procure our testing, rapid testing kits? And if it is the same country, are we concerned? And could that be the reason why we are having a staggering mass testing of Kenyans today? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I will take some of the questions and some I will refer to Dr. Kuria. But let me begin with the last question from Citizen. And your question was about the opening of the eateries and how testing of the workers there would be conducted. Given also that we are possibly dealing with a very large number of people in this sector. In fact, the figure that we have is that there are about 600,000 food handlers and, within this industry. So yes, indeed, it is a large number. And of course, we will not be able to deal with this large number all at one go. We will have to move progressively to be able to cover most of these workers as we move forward. We are trying to ease and reopen the economy in some way. When the pandemic is still there with us, we need to maintain that fine balance of being able to at least open up part of the economy without having to compromise on the containment measures that have been put in place and that we feel are paying some dividends for us. So what happens when people are tested and they turn out, if they turn out negative, they're fine, they're ready to go and work. If the same procedures that we are applying now for contact tracing and any testing are going to apply, if one turns out positive, then that candidate has to be put in isolation or a treatment facility. Those that, so here we do not have any issue of contacts and so on because we're dealing purely with workers. It is only when we are dealing with a positive case and who has contacted that issues of quarantine might arise. You talked about the tests that we are using. I want to make it clear here that as of now and up to now, the tests that we are using to confirm or diagnose the presence of the coronavirus is a molecular-based test that detects the RNA of the virus. And that is the gold standard that we are applying. Since then, there are other tests that have come up that are what you call antibody-based or seroprevalence-based. These are the RDT tests we're talking about. We have a number of them here that are interested in being approved and registered in the country. There is a process that the Pharmacy and Poison Board and other regulatory authorities undertake to be able to put those on the market. As of now, we have not approved any of those because currently our biggest concern is to determine whether one is infected with the virus and not what these other tests detect, which is that somebody has encountered or has been exposed to the virus in the past and has an antibody. That might have its utility somewhere, but for what we're doing, it is based on the molecular test. Purity from KBC. You asked about reopening of restaurants and why restaurants. Let me reserve that for Dr. Kuria. You wanted to know about the safety and welfare of our security officers who are enforcing the curfew and enforcing the other regulations. We work very closely. As you know, this response is a one government response. At the National Emergency Response Committee is also composed of various ministries, including the Ministry of Interior, and all these officers have been trained and are being provided with the right protective equipment where it is necessary for them to use this equipment. So all measures are being taken to ensure that the security officers themselves are also protected because they are frontline workers. Just as our healthcare workers are frontline workers, they are those class of frontline workers, and they deserve to be protected, and measures have been taken to ensure their protection. Services that are offered to contacts or their patients. You know that quarantine, the directive right now is that if you are in quarantine, if you're placed in quarantine, then you are responsible for the cost of quarantine. And that happened when we stopped the travel, international travel, and we had a lot of passengers who came in. But we have gone through that phase. Most of these passengers have been released. And right now, quarantine would be, people would qualify for quarantine would be any contacts of any positive case. Any contacts of any positive case are put in government facility quarantine, and I believe, and I stand to be corrected, but I think they are supposed to meet their costs. However, as we said, testing is conducted free of charge by the government. Testing and treatment so far in public facilities is borne by the Ministry of Health and the Government of Kenya. Dr. Kuria, maybe you can answer the question on why we picked on restaurants and not any other industry.
Thank you. Why restaurants, not other gatherings? As I said, in response to pleas to the government to open up business, we are aware that entertainment facilities were one of those centers or facilities that were closed or declared or were advised to be closed. And this includes restaurants and other entertainment places, including bars and I think discotheques. And in an attempt to open up business a bit and consider the number of employees that are employed by the restaurant industry, the government found necessary to open up business for restaurants and at least also provide areas for the majority of Kenyans can access a place to at least get a meal one way or the other. On the other hand, while restaurants may have come first, the Ministry of Health is working on other guidelines and with advice of those who are doing modeling for this disease for us. We are going to be able to advise on which other areas we are going to open up. You asked about places of worship. This and other gatherings may have to be guided by what we are still modeling and how the disease is progressing. So we have not opened any other gathering. We just try to open up small business for the Kenyans to earn a living as we look at the disease pattern moving on. Okay.
Thank you very much. That makes come up to the end of today's press briefing. Again, tomorrow is another day. Thank you so much.
I wanted to also add on the issue of quarantine and the costs of quarantine. As I said, in most cases, it is the quarantee who will bear the cost of quarantine. However, in cases of need and when it can be established need, the government is taking that on a case-by-case basis.
distinguished nephew, to look into this matter, knowing that, Mr. Speaker, this country has now gone for 1 year without an Auditor General. And the Auditor General is not just an office, Mr. Speaker, it's a constitutional individual whose signature brings documents of audit to Houses of Parliament. We have no Auditor General for 1 year. And there's nobody other than now Houses of Parliament that must carry out this audit. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, the interventions that ought to be done, the Sakaja Committee, Senator Sakaja Committee, must bring to this House tabulations on how much money have spent in each and every of the 47 counties in the fight against this pandemic, the interventions made. And we all know that when such money is sent to counties, it becomes appropriation in aid that must also be appropriated by the county assemblies. We are not aware of any county assembly sitting to deal with these appropriations. We are not aware of any House of Parliament, either Senate or National Assembly, appropriating 40 billion for expenditure on this COVID-19. So, Mr. Speaker, the intentions of the government be good. Senator Mutahi Kagwe has been doing a fantastic job, and everybody in Kenya is talking well of him. But that does not substitute the desire and the demand for accountability, especially when we are talking of now the risk of even freezing resources going to counties to help wananchi in their day-to-day lives. We are not aware of any government moving food from any place to give stressed families. Accountability, Mr. Speaker, has no option in the management of public affairs. I salute Senator Haniri for that statement.
Thank you. I'll allow two more, but there will be other opportunities, as I've said, several other opportunities on the same subject matter. So let's hear from the Leader of Minority.
Mr. Speaker, let me also thank Senator Haniri for coming with this timely statement, and I congratulate him similarly for quite often coming up with statements like this, which are very important. Mr. Speaker, when the President spoke to the nation on the 25th March 2020, on that particular day, there were only 28 cases of coronavirus infections. Worldwide, there were over 400,000 cases. Today in Kenya, the figure is approaching 370, and worldwide is now over 3 million. And as we face this crisis, there are countries which are going the opposite direction. In New Zealand, I think today or yesterday, they announced that they had eliminated the virus, although they still warn their people that it could still come back. But, Mr. Speaker, the issue of accountability is very important. In Kenya, I think because when it comes to oversight, everybody is seen to be as an enemy. But if you look at the countries which have done well, they have not only brought about enabling legislation, but they come up with a collateral statute establishing an oversight committee. For example, in the United States, where they have given a lot of money to government for purposes of fighting against the pandemic, they establish a committee of Congress to oversight the funds which have been given to government to fight the pandemic. And in Kenya, normally the issues of oversight are very difficult to deal with because everybody seems to fear issues of oversight. In the world where countries have done well, they have got very effective oversight tools, which includes also New Zealand. And Mr. Speaker, looking at the country, the ILO has come up with a report of the performance of countries in Asia, including the Philippines, Vietnam, Thailand. In fact, in Vietnam now, quarantine is now done at the expense of government, testing at the expense of government, treatment at the expense of government. With these 40 billion shillings, we should be paying expenses for quarantine and treatment of the few. that have been found with the virus. I mean, when is Kenya government going to be in a position to give for once something free, although it is not quite free because it is coming from the taxpayer? Masks, giving 1 mask a day for a country like Kenya, if Senegal and some countries in South Africa, Ghana, is paying rent for its citizens in the major towns, at least in Kenya we should be able to make a social response, intervention on behalf of the people of Kenya. Otherwise, talking about 40 billion shillings, that you have allocated 40 billion shillings and there's nothing to show for it, I think the country is not going to believe what is happening. And I think it's high time that we live to the country's expectations. And I would want to believe that in noting that for the first time, DORA has been, our amendments have been approved by the other house. I think next time, since they think they are the ones who originate money bills, when they give money to government, national or county, the oversight measures should always be in place. And I think we should have a special motion to have the government explain why they have not appointed an Auditor General, just like Senator Wetangula has just said. Mr. Speaker, I think there are a lot could be said, but I again congratulate Senator Haneri for coming up with this statement. Thank you.
Very well. Thank you, Minority Leader. Senator Linturi, please briefly. We need to move on to the other
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. Let me join my friends in congratulating Senator Kaneri for this statement and give me the opportunity to emphasize 1 or 2 issues raised by my colleagues. Mr. Speaker, I'm lucky to be sitting in the COVID-19 committee, and during presentations that were being made, the Governor Kakamega and the Chair of the Council of Governors of Paranya, because he sits also in the committee that was formed to oversee the resources coming through the COVID-19 kit, that we were shocked when one time told us that since KEMSA, by way of legislation, makes it impossible, or there is an hindrance in terms of acquisition of the equipment or the PPEs that are required, with his, they'd gone into an agreement and agreed with the president that they would buy those items directly from the manufacturers. I'm raising this matter, Mr. Speaker, because, you know, for any act of parliament to be amended, they must involve parliament. And I'm only bringing it because, Mr. Speaker, to emphasize the possibility of pilferage, the possibility of looting of public funds, and the possibility of turning people into overnight billionaires by taking advantage of the situation that we find ourselves in, and appreciating the matter that has just been raised by Mheshimiwa Wetangula, that we do not have an Auditor General. Mr. Speaker, the manner in which our system is, we realize that the Auditor General plays a very critical role in oversight. The Public Accounts Committee, whether in Parliament, in the Senate, or in the National Assembly, gives material that is authentic, material that can be relied on by committees of Parliament whenever exercising that oversight role. And in the absence of these reports coming from the Auditor General because of his absence, it becomes difficult. So, Mr. Speaker, we are in a situation, and I want to support what Senator Orengo is saying. We must get into a candid discussion to discuss this matter, because in my view, it's like Parliament, in the manner that it is now, becomes very difficult because of the attempts by the executive to muzzle Parliament, by the attempts of the executive to also try to suffocate the judiciary by reducing money that goes to it, and becomes very difficult. So, Mr. Speaker, in this situation, that we are in, I think let's all wake up and see and interrogate and do a reflection on what we are supposed to do as senators, because we are the people that represent the wish of the majority and the people that vote for us. And with the National Assembly is in charge of the public purse, in the absence of money being appropriated by Parliament, then I don't know where other money can easily come from. So, Mr. Speaker, I associate myself and want to commend Senator Neri for coming with this statement. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, colleagues. We have to leave it there for now, but there will be, as I've said, very many other opportunities. Let's try and manage our time. Shall we move to the next one, which is, what is it, Senator Sakaja?
Mr. Speaker, I know you have closed debate on that. And indeed, a lot of the issues raised and the concerns which I thank Senator Kaniri are in our reports. In fact, today's report is not one of noting progress. This one is the Senate making resolution on specific recommendations. And this one for today is on the health issue. On the matter of the 40 billion and accountability, I'd like to invite him tomorrow morning with the CS. He's tried to make clarifications. We've seen the newspaper apologizing. The newspaper that published that story says that they said he has spent 40 B, and that's not what he said. So we don't use newspapers in the House as evidence. The best way to know what really is happening is for Senator Kaniri to attend our meeting tomorrow. And in the 5th progress report, Mr. Speaker, it is virtual. In fact, if any member is interested, we can have you log in. At least a few.
I think almost every senator would be interested, those who are available. So
I will give information on how that can be done. We can host up to 100 people, so long as you
just do this credentials and everything to as many senators as possible.
Yes, so that all those issues that have been raised and clarifications are done. But I'd like to really affirm the House. The committee you have is working tirelessly. Senate is present.
Thank you.
And the executive is following you.
Thank you for that information, Senator Sakaja. What is it, Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr.?
Speaker, since we are only 67 plus you 68, and Zoom can take up to 100, I'm proposing that Senator Sakaja and his team send that link to the Senate's Business Committee so that all of us can participate in that meeting. Thank you.
So ordered. Senator Sakaja? So directed.
Mr. Speaker, once you direct, all I can do is oblige, Mr. Speaker.
Very well, very well. Senator Malala, 48-1, together with, after you, I'll allow Senator Were also to say something, because there's some relationship between the statement and what she had wanted to talk about.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order number 48-1 to seek for a statement from the chairperson of the Senate Ad Hoc Committee on COVID-19, my distinguished cousin, Honorable Sakaja.
Order.
Concerning
Order, Senator Malala.
Yes.
I think this is, you seem to have inherited this from Senator Watangula, who has a way of describing everybody as either distinguished kid brother, distinguished nephew. The standing orders are very clear. You shall refer to other senators as Senator so and so, not in terms of grandfather and what is it, leader of minority?
The distinguished senator for Kakamega seems to be having distinguished cousins and others who are not distinguished.
That is precisely the mischief.
This is the mischief I think the Speaker you are trying to repair.
You're causing social disorder by describing certain relatives as distinguished more than others.
Point of order,
Yes, what is it, Senator Sakaja?
Mr. Speaker, now I'm concerned. Is there doubts towards the distinguished nature
No,
of the cousin is referring to, or is it
There
that
are two
others are
things
not as
here.
distinguished?
There are two things, Senator Sakaja. The first is on the standing orders. Reference should be on senators in the manner of the standing orders. Senator so and so, you can add distinguished. But there is also the issue of naming your relatives in the chamber. Okay? And you know, it creates disharmony when you say my distinguished cousin. I mean, all the other cousins are excluded. As Senator Wetangula will tell you all the time, to name one is to specify one is to exclude the others. So, Senator Malala, be guided accordingly.
Most obliged, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order number 48-1 to seek for a statement from the chairperson of the Senate Ad hoc Committee on COVID-19, the distinguished Senator for Nairobi, Senator Johnston Sakaja, concerning the sacking of Dr. Joel Lutomia as the Director, Center for Virus Research at the Kenya Medical Research Institute, that is KEMRI, and the general operations of KEMRI during COVID-19 pandemic. In the statement, the chairperson should respond to the following. 1, state whether the committee is aware of the sacking of Dr. Joel Lutomia as the Director, Center for Virus Research at the Kenya Medical Research Institute. 2, explain the circumstances that led to the sacking of Dr. Joel Lutomia as the Director at the Center of Virus Research in the Kenya Medical Research Institute. 3, state whether the sacking of Dr. Joel Lutomia as the Director in the Center for Virus Research at the Kenya Medical Research Institute followed the right procedure as set out in the Employment Act. 4, explain the impact of this action of sacking Dr. Joel Lutomia as the Director in the Center for Virus Research in Kenya Medical Research Institute on the general functioning of the center and the morale of other researchers at the center during COVID-19 pandemic. 5, state how much funding KEMRI has received from the Ministry of Health to help in testing and research on COVID-19 and purchasing of personal protective equipment for the KEMRI workers. 6, state the specific measures put in place by the Kenya government to motivate KEMRI as an institution at the forefront of helping fight the spread of COVID-19 in Kenya. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, the chairperson should state the criteria used by the government to select the health workers who benefit from risk, extraneous, and non-practice allowances. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Malala. The first bite of the cherry goes to Senator Were, as you had done a similar statement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have a similarly different statement, but to the same issue.
Similarly
yes.
different.
Similarly different. So
In
let
other
me
words,
allow me to execute.
In other words, the difference is the same.
Yes. Let me allow me to execute it. There are slightly a few differences. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, pursuant to Standing Order 48-1, I rise to seek a statement from the chairperson of the Ad hoc Committee on the COVID-19 situation in Kenya on the demotion of Dr. Joel Lutomia at the Kenya Medical Research Institute. In the statement, the chairperson should, 1, provide details of the circumstances that led to the demotion of Dr. Joel Lutomia from his position as director of the KEMRI Center for Virus Research and chair of the KEMRI Rapid Response
What is it,
team.
Majority Leader?
The Speaker, I'm sure you take judicial notice of the fact that Senator Malala and Senator Petrolina Were are members of the same political party, and one is the deputy minority leader.
What has that to do with the statements?
Mr. Speaker, if you look at those statements, they are similar. Instead of issuing two different statements, why can Senator Petrolina Were make her contributions to Malala's statement? Mr. Speaker, supplement, add, subtract, and then it becomes only one statement.
She has promised, that's why she, thank you, Leader of Majority, but she started by promising us that she has an additional 2, and that's why I gave her the first bite of the cherry. And let's make progress. We seem to be a bit relaxed this afternoon. Yes, we know the good doctor has been removed from his position. And you've heard what Senator Malala has asked. Wants an explanation why and what is being done to fund KEMRI and also to provide KEMRI with protective equipment. So you can supplement on that, and then I'll allow 1 or 2 other observations and we move on.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There's 1, 2 or 3 other issues that Senator Malala's statement may not have brought out that I would like the chair to provide answers to. One of them is provide details of the officer's track record in submitting COVID-19 test results prior to the reported delay of Friday, 17th April 2020. And then also explain what administrative procedures and processes were utilized in executing his demotion in light of the public service rules and guidelines. Finally, provide details of the issues or challenges KEMRI may be facing in scaling up COVID testing with regards to personnel, equipment, reagents, and funding. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well done, well done, well done. Senator Dr. Mbito is in the chamber. I thought I saw him. Oh, he's around, eh? Very well. Meanwhile, Senator from Migori.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank Senator Malala for raising a very important issue. I want to ask this. Now that the minister has pronounced himself with finality over this matter, I suspect that this matter is likely to be challenged somewhere. Can the committee establish whether the minister will recluse himself from interfering with the challenge? Because I'm sure due process was never followed. I'm sure the right to be heard and other things were never followed. Can the minister assure the committee that when this matter is challenged, he will not stand on the way, interfere with it, or make a decision that is final that will make it impossible for reinstitution to be made to this affected doctor? Thank you.
Well done, Senator Ochilo Ayako. That's the kind of approach we require. You add value precisely. This side, Jubilee side, majority side, majority leader.
So, Speaker, you know, if you ask this side and there's no one, I make sure
yeah,
the
by
majority
default.
leader always.
By default.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, you know, there is a very bad culture that is emanating from various ministries, where if a person is in charge of a particular ministry, would like to have people who are friendly to them to lead below them, because they want people who are Mr. Yes, or people who are related, or who have come from the same region, or who have passed university experience together in the same class, or whatever, Mr. Speaker. The Speaker, this culture has gone on for a while. In fact, I dare say, Mr. Speaker, and I hope history will prove me right, that there are many CEOs in the past almost 2 years, Mr. Speaker, who've been removed from office, and Senator Orengo will bear me witness, even if it doesn't go on record here, that there are a number of CEOs in the country that, Mr. Speaker, because people are unhappy with them holding the positions they have for reasons they know themselves. Either they wanted to make money there, or, Mr. Speaker, they want to have control. Charges are fabricated, Mr. Speaker, against public officers. In fact, this particular officer of Cambry is very lucky that he was just being sacked. But in a number of public officers in this country, for the last 2 years, something strange, which, Mr. Speaker, we must continue observing and perhaps investigate. There are trumped up charges against the CEOs. Mr. Speaker, some of the charges are so ludicrous, Mr. Speaker, to the extent that someone is being told you're being charged for, Mr. Speaker, a document that was picked by your PA and shared with somebody else. And then quickly, those people are removed from office and then replaced. And then thereafter, the prosecution is not pursued further because the initial objective was just to remove that person from office. Mr. Speaker, there was an audit that was done by National Cohesion and Integration Commission about the representation of public officers in office and the spread of those public officers. I can say this without fear of contradiction, that, Mr. Speaker, if you went where that CEO of Cambry comes from, whatever county comes from, I suspect you will not have another 2 or 3 CEOs. He's probably the only CEO who comes from that county who serves in the government of Kenya. We must think about this. We can't just say we passed a new constitution, and then we'll sit here and clap hands and say, because there is a handshake and there is no opposition and there is everybody is fighting to be happy with the executive, that we will support everything that comes from them, so that everybody else will be punished for us to just wait for a morsel, Mr. Speaker, that perhaps we will never get. That is something that I really think we must think about. And for the Cambry situation, many Kenyans have said, we might be wrong, but they have said that it might be linked, his removal might be linked with the fight for, Mr. Speaker, donor funds that is related to this emergency. Okay. And if that be the truth, Mr. Speaker, then it casts doubt on, Mr. Speaker, what we raised earlier, and actually gives credibility to what we raised earlier, that there are people who are preparing themselves to make money through emergencies. And, Mr. Speaker, the committee must take this statement very seriously.
Thank you. Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr.
Thank you, Speaker. I just wanted to correct both Senator Malala and Senator Were, that where you are challenging action of government or action of a person, you can't say he was sacked or was demoted. It's allegedly or impugned, because what the ministry has done is irregular, and it cannot be regularized in any manner. Mr. Speaker, this comes in the backdrop of something that is being circulated about Senegal, where they are getting treatment at $1. The sentiments by Senator Murkomen, which are true, just points out to the Jubilee government, which is incorrigible. It behaves like Nebuchadnezzar. You know, everything you could do, Corona was supposed to come so that at least we can change the way we do things. Those who think and those who allege.
What do you mean by behaving like Nebuchadnezzar?
Nebuchadnezzar is a person, you all know. Senator Wetangula is asking, are you a stranger in Jerusalem?
No, I'm a stranger in Babylon.
Mr. Speaker, the people who allege that is removal, in fact, it's even worse. The statement in the newspapers, if that is the allegation that he did not produce results within the time he was supposed to do so, Mr. Speaker, the minister must apologize to the country, because the first thing you should do is ensure that Cambry is properly equipped. Kenyans were asking for a long time, where is Cambry? The first time you hear of Cambry, the director has been demoted, according to Senator Were, sacked, according to Senator Malala. Hope is not a coincidence that Senator Malala from Western and Senator Were from Western are speaking about this. But the point is, Mr. Speaker, when Senator Orengo and I were defending doctors when they were going to jail, this is what we were talking about. A government that does not understand that you must treat the people who are doing essential services a little better, even during this time of Corona. Thank you.
Thank you.
Say something?
Order, members. Order. There will be again another opportunity to say the same things. Let's make progress on the order paper. Same topic. You can always come back to this particular officer if you need to. And therefore, who are you informing, Senator? Informing the House.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to inform the House. You know, these
Okay.
things are alive and we're dealing with them every day.
Yes.
We had an engagement with KEMRI. They're doing an amazing job. Some of these concerns, if you look at the report, which every one of you has a copy of,
Very well.
on your WhatsApp, if you go to page 44, you'll see our engagement with KEMRI on the 21st, and they're doing an amazing job. Mr. Speaker, you'll be pleased to learn that as of now, the viral load transmission media that is being used in the entire region of East Africa is being produced and exported by KEMRI. They're doing an amazing job. So on the issue of Dr. Lutomia, we've even noted in paragraph 15, and I will speak about it later, that indeed, and that is our preliminary observation, that we will not support anybody who is trying to bring down the morale of our frontline health workers, our lab people, because they are doing an amazing job.
Absolutely.
Wherever they are.
Absolutely.
And we've stated it there, and the action that we're taking already. So I think the questions asked by distinguished Senator for Kakamega, as well as Senator Were, we'll just enrich the communication we're already having. So we'll continue. Yes.
Absolutely. Other members, I think on that note, the report by the COVID committee and the proposed bill, those two items are very critical for this afternoon. And the earlier we get there, the better. And for that reason, I'll only allow us to wind up this in the next not more than 5 minutes statements. And then the next order, which is order number 8, when it is called out, I will require that we try and, because it's procedure on the composition of committees, the leaders have consulted their members, so we should not take more than 10 minutes, or rather they ought to have consulted, and therefore we should not take more than 10 minutes on that item, so that we tackle those two issues, COVID committee report and the proposed bill. What is it, Senator Wetangula?
Before we leave statements, last week on Tuesday, I raised an issue on the Minister for Agriculture taking 1.5 billion Kenya shillings meant for coffee improvement and taking it unashamedly to one single region of the country to the exclusion of all other regions. And the Speaker ordered that a statement be brought by the chair of the committee today.
Chair of Agriculture. Vice Chair or Member, Senator Ayako.
Thank you, Mr.
Senator Wamatangi.
Is out.
Senator Wamatangi, I hope you are not protesting. I hope it's not an act of protest. There are no shortcuts. Order, Senator Wamatangi. Order, Senator Wamatangi, just do the right thing.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for restoring order to the House. Mr. Speaker, I'm a member of Agricultural Committee, and I'm in touch with my chair, Senator Njeru Ndwiga. The information available to the committee is that Monday next week we are meeting the CS who is responsible for this matter. So as we speak now, Mr. Speaker, we do not have accurate and comprehensive answer. We are seeking the indulgence of Mr. Speaker to give us one more week. Thank you.
That's an important issue raised by Senator Wetangula. The last time I attended a coffee-related meeting in the US, you know, some of the coffee now is coming from Western Kenya, Rift Valley. So it's a good thing to look at how that facility has been distributed. So Monday, you are meeting the minister, and therefore I direct that you shall bring back a report to the House.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. Further point of order, Mr. Speaker.
On my direction.
Mr. Speaker, just before you conclude your direction.
All right.
Mr. Speaker, the reason the chair on our request made that direction was that there was a real risk that these funds are being dispersed to the exclusion of areas that are now new frontiers for coffee growing, areas that have been growing coffee before, Pokot, Trans Nzoia, Bungoma, Kakamega, Vihiga, Kericho, Bomet, and others. Mr. Speaker, could you further direct the Vice Chair to communicate with the Minister that the House freezes any action on this fund until these matters are dealt with by the committee and reported to the House?
I direct the committee to do a supplementary letter to the Minister ahead of the Monday meeting to ask the Minister to withhold any precipitate action or action of any kind on the disbursement of that facility until this matter has been dealt with satisfactorily by the committee and the House. So ordered.
Mr. Speaker.
What is it, Senator Wambua?
Mr. Speaker, my concern is about directives from the chair.
Yes.
To committees. I have observed this, Mr. Speaker, that the chair makes directions to committees, and committees just sit back, they don't act on the directives, and the next time that order is called, they ask for more time to give responses. Mr. Speaker, until Senator Tangula raised that matter, there was no word from the committee chair on the directive that you gave, the chair gave, on Tuesday. The Speaker, what is in the directive now that makes us believe that in the next week, this committee will bring this report? And Mr. Speaker, it should not be, it should go, Mr. Speaker, unnoticed that coffee growing does not just take place on this side of town. In Ukambani, in Machakos, and in Makueni, there is a lot of coffee being grown there. At some point, actually, coffee from Matungulu was the best coffee in the world.
True.
So, Mr. Speaker, these things should not be taken that lightly.
Very well. I think the point has been made, Senator Wambua, and it cuts across. Committees take your work seriously. But on the other hand, it's the duty of the person seeking the statement to put those committees on their toes and to keep on reminding the House on deadlines. Because the House cannot, on its own motion, try to micromanage the activities of committees. So that responsibility is shared. And as I keep on emphasizing, how this House dispenses its work is extremely important, and how we look to the Kenyan public whom we serve. And the executive is reminded constantly not to be taking lightly some of the directives we give here. So I hope that freezing of disbursement is an important issue that should be taken care of by the executive. Yes, Senator Orengo.
Just on a small point of order, Mr. Speaker, the chair should never be speaking in vain. Whenever the chair gives a directive, the clerks must make sure that that matter is reflected in the order paper. Yes. The problem is that if Senator Wetangula would not have risen to bring that point to our notice, then it will simply disappear. Yes, but once the chair has given the directive, the matter then belongs to the House, and it should appear in the order paper.
Absolutely, absolutely. Noted. Very well. Very quickly, in what is it, Senator Molala?
Mr. Speaker, you haven't given direction as to when I will expect answers on Dr. Joel Lutomia's case. We want specific timelines.
Senator Dr. Brito, is he back in the chamber? Senator Dr. Brito, there is the issue of the medical doctor who was purportedly demoted at Kemri. Oh, this is ad hoc. Oh, it's not health. Senator Sakaja, you said you have some references to it. So can I give directions, if you remind me, Senator Malala, at the time when we are concluding debate on his report, on the report by the committee? Because we don't want to preempt a report which has not been tabled for debate. The motion has not been moved. Yes, Senator Tulakalonzo Jr.
Perhaps very quickly, Senator Sakaja can check. I've looked at page 44.
Yes.
If there is no resolution in this report on the question of Dr. Lutoma, then you can give directions immediately.
Yes.
Yes.
Is there any particular recommendation or resolution on that matter, Senator Sakaja?
Mr. Speaker, on page 13,
yes,
paragraph 14 and 15, this is where we talk about KEMRI and we talk about Dr. Lutomia, the specific issue. On top of saying that we observe that the timing of the dismissal is wrong and has a significant impact on the morale and motivation of staff, it is unclear if the proper laid down procedures and administrative processes were followed, and as such, further investigation into the matter is required, meaning this was a preliminary observation as of yesterday, and we already seized of the matter. So in our next, as an addendum to this report next week, or part of, because our reports are in themes, next week will be on economic issues and finance, but we'll still be able to report on that specific statement next Tuesday.
So accordingly, as you prepare to make that pledge, I direct that you have a conversation with the ministry at all levels and the institution itself, including the director of KEMRI, and also the very specific issues that were raised about whether the public service rules were followed, and make some very concrete findings and recommendations in your report, which must be part of your report in terms of seeking a specific resolution on that matter by this House on Tuesday in the afternoon. So ordered. Very well. Now, Senator Sakaja, I'll allow you to make your statement under 51(1)(b), and because it's on a related matter and we need to move on,
yes,
I'll only allow at least one comment, maybe from the senator of that county if he has to, but then we have to move to the next order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 51(1) to make a further statement on an issue for which the committee is responsible, namely the request for statement by Senator James Orengo, Senior Counsel, EGH, regarding the burial of Mr. James Oyugi Onyango, a resident of Siaya County who reportedly died of COVID-19 disease. As senators will recall, the said statement was sought from the ADO committee on the COVID-19 situation during the sitting of the Senate held on Tuesday, the 14th of April 2020. At the sitting of the Senate held on 21st April 2020, last week, I reported to the Senate that the committee had received an oral response from the Cabinet Secretary for Health, and the committee was following up for a written response for the specific information sought by the Senator for Siaya County. Mr. Speaker, sir, we have received the written response from the Cabinet Secretary, and the salient aspects of which are as follows. A, the Cabinet Secretary for Health expressed sincere regret of the ministry regarding the way the burial of the late James Oyugi Onyango was carried out. He conceded that this was not in line with the guidelines issued by the ministry, which promote a dignified burial process, respect for the deceased, and respect for the rights of the family. B, on the cause of death of Mr. James Owino Onyango, the Cabinet Secretary stated that a posthumous laboratory test had confirmed that Mr. Onyango had coronavirus infection. C, on the way the burial of Mr. Onyango was undertaken, the Cabinet Secretary stated that the guidelines issued by the ministry were not adhered to in this case. And D, on the question why the protocols laid out by the ministry were not followed in undertaking the burial, the Cabinet Secretary restated that the burial was not conducted in line with the guidelines and protocols they developed. On the question as why there was no consultation with the family and the community before the burial, the CS stated again that the county health team in Siaya actually failed to adhere to those guidelines, which provide for, among others, family members be informed and for close family members to attend the burial, and the limitation is 15 persons. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee considered this response, this matter as well as a response from the Cabinet Secretary, and made the following recommendations, which we have communicated back to the Cabinet Secretary, and I believe the Secretariat also passed on this response to Senator Orengo. I hope they did, as I directed them. That having acknowledged that the burial of Mr. James Owino Onyango was not carried out in line with the guidelines and protocols issued by the ministry, and noting the distress this matter has caused, not just to Mr. Onyango's immediate family, but also to the community in Siaya and beyond, the Cabinet Secretary should get in touch with and offer an apology to the family of the late Mr. James Onyango Owino. Mr. Speaker, we noted the apology to us as a committee doesn't suffice. He needs to directly contact the family because, unfortunately, we cannot redo that process. Number two, the ministry should roll out a robust program to train and create awareness amongst members of all the county health teams in all counties on the guidelines and protocols for handling the burial of a person who has died from coronavirus, to both ensure that this does not happen again and to address the stigma associated with coming into contact with or having a family member die from coronavirus. Mr. Speaker, again, the committee did not seek to ask for any tough disciplinary, interventions by the CS, because not only is this not time to demoralize our frontline health workers, but also many are dealing with something they have not dealt with before, and it's on the ministry itself to make sure that all county health teams are well trained on the protocols that need to be followed so that this does not happen to any other family in this country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Orengo.
I thank Senator Sakaja for that response and thank them for the work they've done in relation to the burial of Mr. Yugi Onyango. Mr. Speaker, it is important that coronavirus disease is not stigmatized. By the conduct of the authorities, including the police, the county and the national government, people feel stigmatized if they are in any way connected with this disease. Even if a member of the family has been quarantined for this particular disease, they feel stigmatized. And the reason why I'm saying this, Mr. Speaker, is after the burial of Mr. Onyango, nearly the entire village was arrested. They were not even taken, they were arrested and forcefully quarantined. After 14 days, no member of that family has tested positive. Not a single one. Not a single one. And Mr. Speaker, although it is being told that the Ministry of Health has determined that this particular gentleman died out of the coronavirus disease, it is important to note that the specimens were taken after the man died. Now, Mr. Speaker, you know the control of specimens is very important. The circumstances in which those specimens were taken from a non-state institution. This was not a government hospital. The way it was transported to whatever laboratory. These are very important questions. And I'm saying they're important questions because even up to now, to the family, the cause of death has not been communicated. It's not even known. And as we speak today, their members of the family are still quarantined on the 14th day. They have been tested thrice. They tested negative. Another test was done today, and I have every belief that they will test negative. But the point I'm trying to make, the way the government is handling this issue is stigmatizing coronavirus. If the whole British Prime Minister can be infected and go to ICU and come out and go to his country residence and go back to work, we should not stigmatize this disease. And in fact, in Siaya, the problem now is that people don't want to go to hospitals because if you go there, you are likely to be quarantined and kept away from your family for a month or so. So I think the whole direction of how they deal with this problem must be changed positively so that people appreciate what the government is doing.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Kindly, senators, we just have to make progress.
No, it's very short.
Unless it's a point of order.
It's a point of order.
Are you on a point of order, Senator Wetangula?
Mr. Speaker.
Point of order, yes.
Mr. Speaker, this is information. And if you,
yes,
Mr. Speaker, I want to inform the distinguished senator for Siaya not to let the statement made by Senator Sakaja go unchallenged. Because Senator Sakaja said that posthumous tests were done. Senator Orengo, are you satisfied that this gentleman was exhumed and parts of his body or samples taken for any tests to be taken in any laboratories for us to have a posthumous test report to confirm that in fact he died of COVID-19? If there was no exhumation of the body of this gentleman, then it cannot be possible that some posthumous tests were made or done on his body or part of his body to reach that finding.
I thought the two senators said the same thing, that the tests were taken after the person had died, but not necessarily buried. Maybe when he was dead, but not buried in between. It's still posthumous though. Yeah, Senator Orengo?
Yeah.
What do you make of Senator Wachangula's remarks?
I think his point is important, but factually it is not accurate because the specimens were taken before he was buried, but he was still posthumous.
Yeah. Thank you. Very well. Let's leave it at that. Naam, Senator Mazayo.
Yeah, asante Bwana Spika. Nilikuwa nafikiria pengine unaona pande ile na huku nyuma hakuna hata mmoja wetu ambaye ametajwa. Ameitwa.
But Senator from Migori spoke.
Bwana Spika,
your immediate neighbor. But proceed.
Asante Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, ningependa pia kukubaliana na vile Senator Orengo amesema ya kwamba kuna hii tabia ya kushika watu bila heshima.
Order, Senator Malala. You must be at least 1.5 meters from Senator Were. You're out of order. And you know, Senator Malala, we are laughing about this, but people are dying daily, all over the world. So I'm not going to preside over deaths in the chamber.
Asante Bwana Spika. Asante Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, nilikuwa nasema ya kwamba ni ukweli ya kwamba saa ingine vile ambavyo majina ya watu yanaharibiwa ndio huleta shida katika familia. Bwana Spika, utaona ya kwamba haswa Kilifi imetajwa sana katika mambo kama haya ya corona. Bwana Spika, nataka kusema ya kwamba katika Kilifi kuna deputy governor alitajwa. Na huyu deputy governor Bwana Saburi ana bibi na watoto watatu. Na wale watoto watatu na bibi yake wote walifanyiwa test. Na hakuna hata mmoja alionekana na hiyo. Na yeye mwenyewe pia ako na mastakabadhi za hospitali ya Kenyatta, Nairobi Hospital na Mombasa Hospital. Na zote pia imeonekana hana hiyo. Tabia kama hii ya kuharibia watu majina, ambao hivi sasa katika Kenya mtu kama Saburi hawezi kutembea mahali popote, inavunja heshima ya familia na inaweza pia kufanya ile familia isiwe pamoja. Tunauliza, lazima kuwe na heshima, na particularly ama kwa hususan ikiwa jambo liko ndani ya koti. Ni vibaya sana kwa mtu kama rais kuweza kusema ya kwamba huyo mtu afungwe miaka 10. Ni aibu na ni makosa kwa rais kumtaja Saburi. Kwa hiyo Bwana Spika, tunasema heshima si utumwa. Si kusema ya kwamba Kilifi kuna watu wako hivi na hivi. Hivi sasa tukiangalia hesabu ya Kilifi iko chini kuliko kaunti zingine. Kwa hiyo hii heshima lazima iweko.
Okay, noted.
Asante Bwana Spika.
Noted, thank you.
Lakini nilikuwa nataka kusema ya kwamba hivi sasa heshima ya mtu kama deputy governor ndani ya nyumba yake na watoto wake na jamii yake na marafiki zake imeharibika sana. Kwa hiyo tunasema ya kwamba lazima kuwe na uchunguzi, lazima heshima ifanywe katika mambo haya ya corona.
Thank you, Senator.
Asante bwana.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, next order.
Order number 8, motion, approval of senators to serve in respective sessional and standing committees.
This matter, Senator Murkomen, should not take more than 10 minutes. That's the mood of the House. For everything, including approval or lack thereof.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move the following motion, that pursuant to Standing Order 219, 220, and 221, the Senate approves the following senators nominated by the Senate Business Committee to serve in respective sessional and standing committee of the Senate as follows: Senator Franklin Mithika Linturi MP, Senator Argura Godana MP, Senator Paul Wamatangi Kimani MP, Senator Millicent Omanga MP, Senator Irungu Kangata MP, Senator Professor Samson Ongeri MP, Senator Ledamo Lekina MP, Senator Dr. Ochilo Ayako MP, and Senator Johannes Mwaruma. Committee on Delegated Legislation, Senator Samuel Pokisho MP, Senator Victor Prenge MP, Senator Philip Mbaye MP, Senator Faria Ali MP, Senator Millicent Omanga MP, Senator Judith Pereno MP, Senator Boniface Kabaka MP, Senator Kongo Mokeni MP, and Senator Faki Mwinyi Haji Mohammed MP. And finally, on the Committee on National Security and Defense and Foreign Relations, that pursuant to Standing Order number 189, the Senate approves Senator Mary Seneta MP to replace Senator Johnson Sakaja MP to serve in the Standing Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations. So, Speaker, these are really, I don't want to say much. Most of these people have served in various committees, and some served in the committee before. What is notable, Mr. Speaker, is to ensure that our responsibility as majority and minority leader is to distribute responsibilities across the board based on the weight, Mr. Speaker, of other responsibilities other members already have. Mr. Speaker, we felt it was time. A few changes were made in the committee on the public accounts investment and the delegated legislation, and it's for the best interest of the Senate. What I only want to request is that, Mr. Speaker, this one should go on record, that if you are going to be a member of this committee, and I know, for example, Public Accounts Committee, it takes a lot of time, Mr. Speaker. We should not be ashamed to replace these committees midway if we find that, Mr. Speaker, there is any individual who is not committed to participating in the process, because we are behind. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, on the security, Senator Sakaja, on his own volition, Mr. Speaker, requested that he be replaced in that committee to allow him to also concentrate on a committee that he chairs. And you can see also now he's chairing a COVID committee. So once he wrote to the Speaker, it was incumbent upon Senate Business Committee, Mr. Speaker, to work towards replacement, getting a replacement for him. Speaker, I beg to move and request Senate Minority Leader to second.
Thank you. Leader of Minority.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to second the two motions. Mr. Speaker, my remarks are basically on the first committee, Public Accounts and Investment. Mr. Speaker, the Constitution gives the role of oversight to Parliament. And indeed, the Office of the Auditor General is established to perform certain functions for purposes of making it easy for Parliament to perform its oversight functions, oversight and audit. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the old committee. Some of the members are retained. I want to thank the chairman of the committee, the senator for Homer Bay, who I think did a sterling job. But since this is a committee which is sessional, changes are always likely to be there. And also Senator Faki from Mombasa, and hope that the new members will do us proud. We want a situation where all the work of oversight and audit in respect of accounts of the national government and the county government to be seen actively in the work of this committee. Mr. Speaker, sometimes I believe that if these committees can do their work properly, then we can be a step ahead even of the other institutions like the DCI or the DPP. There's no answer in arresting people. I think the answer is making sure that no money is lost that belongs to the taxpayer. So, Mr. Speaker, I hope that this committee will not shy away, the Accounts Committee will not shy away from meeting its responsibility of oversight and naming and shaming those that may be responsible for taking away money unlawfully from the public and the taxpayer. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well done. I'll give one more from each side. Senator Kika. Briefly, please.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I also stand to support. It's time that we reconstituted the two committees, the sessional committees. The ones that we had have carried us through the previous month or year and have done a good job.
Order.
But
order first. Order.
Okay.
Order. Order. I propose the question, which is that pursuant to Standing Order 219, 220, and 221, the Senate approves the following senators nominated by the Senate Business Committee to serve in respective sessional and standing committees of the Senate as follows. A, Committee on County Public Accounts and Investments, Senator Franklin Mithika Linturi, MP, Senator Argura Godana, MP, Senator Paul Wamatangi Kimani, MP, Senator Millicent Omanga, MP, Senator Irungu Kangata, MP, Senator Professor Samson Ongeri, MP, Senator Ledama Olekina, MP, Senator Dr. Ochilo Ayako, MP, and 9 Senator Jones Mwaruma, MP. B, Committee on Delegated Legislation, 1 Senator Samuel Pogisio, MP, Senator Victor Prengay, MP, Senator Philip Mpaye, MP, Senator Faria Ali, MP, Senator Millicent Omanga, MP, Senator Judith Pareno, MP, Senator Boniface Kabaka, MP, Senator Okongo Mogeni, MP, and Senator Faki Mohammed, MP. And finally, C, Committee on National Security, Defense, and Foreign Relations, that pursuant to Standing Order number 189, the Senate approves Senator Mary Senator, MP, to replace Senator Johnson Sakaja, MP, to serve in the Standing Committee on National Security, Defense, and Foreign Relations. Senator Susan Kika, go and proceed.
Okay, sure. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So I'm also supporting the motion and supporting both the sessional committees, and looking at the senators that we have going forward. I'm sure they will do just as good a job as those who were there previously. And for those who have remained from the previous time, I'm sure they will be able to give context and history to the committees and help in carrying forward, because there's a lot of work to be done. There is needs, we have a lot to do, especially this Public Accounts and Investment Committee. I mean, it goes without saying there's so many reports that they need to look at, but looking at the very able senators that we have there, I am sure that they will be able to do a great job. We also need to move on the Delegated Legislation Committee, and this has also been really needed in the last few weeks when we've had lots of regulations that we needed the committee to look into, but the committee had not been formed. So I'm sure that they will get started immediately and get on what needs to be done in the coming days, especially in the context of this COVID-19. As for the National Security, Defense, and Foreign Relations, Senator Sakaja has done a great job previously as the vice chair of that committee, but he's also a very able senator who also knows when he needs or decides to maybe let some others step in some roles, and then he can continue with others. And as we can see right now, he's leading us very, very well as the chair of the COVID-19 ad hoc committee. So I'm sure that we are well represented, and Senator Mary Senator is a very, very able senator. So I'm sure that we shall do very well. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. You're very diplomatic today, Senator Kihika, which is which is noted with appreciation. From the minority side, maybe one other voice for yes, Senator Pareno.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to support the nomination of the members to these committees. But, Mr. Speaker, I think we need probably to do justice to the business of this House. Mr. Speaker, for the last 3 months, the Committee on Delegated Legislation and the Committee on Security had not sat, PAC had not sat for a whole 3 months, just because we were not able to reconstitute the minority side, the majority side were not able to reconstitute and ensure that their members to sit in this committee. To me, this was a disservice to the people of this republic. A whole 3 months, three committees not sitting. Maybe what we should do is to have a saving clause so that then the previous committee can sit in until the other committee is ushered in, so that we don't look like we hold the House at ransom and not do business just because the two sides are not able to put in a list of members. So, Mr. Speaker, that is what I would propose, that probably we look into our standing orders and ensure that there is a clause that ensures that there is continuity until the next committee is ushered in. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, because I know the members that have been put in are able and they should have started this job long time ago, other than us sitting until another several months have gone before we sit as committees. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. I think to ensure there are no gaps in service delivery, that matter should be taken over by the SBC, so that at the end of every year, there is no gap between formation of certain sessional committees and successor committees, because the roles they play are quite essential. We cannot afford to even have a week, leave alone a month, when we don't have an oversight committee in place. Must you? Mover.
Thank you,
Say
Mr.
what you
Speaker.
must. You on a point of order, Senator Sakaja. I'm actually trying to save your agenda, or the agenda which you are sponsoring.
Mr. Speaker, it's all our agenda, but
Yes.
it's just that on C of this motion,
Yes.
where I'm being replaced,
Yes.
it has been said that I resigned. It is good for me to clarify to the House. And if you give me 1 minute or 2 minutes, Mr. Speaker,
So what did you do?
I can make those clarifications. First of all, Mr. Speaker, allow me, I think it will be very unfair for us as a House to pass this motion without commending Senator Kajwang for the work he's been able to do as chair of this committee. I think for the last 2 years, we've seen them reduce their backlog. We've seen very good work in terms of the fiduciary reports, having ESCC in CPIC. And so, Mr. Speaker, for me, I think it is very important for us to commend him for the work he did while leading this committee over that period of time. And you know, he has a similar background to you and myself, and that might explain. In fact, I am really surprised. For me, that was the only surprising thing in this motion. But secondly, Mr. Speaker,
You are being challenged to disclose this background.
no, it's a Duke of York, the Duke of York School, or Lenana School. But secondly, Mr. Speaker, indeed it is true. I resigned from the position of Vice Chair of Security Defense, and I thank all the members of that Security Defense Committee. I was effectively chairing it for the last 2 years because the substantive chair, Senator Haji, has been engaged otherwise, Mr. Speaker. And people say it is not usual for politicians to resign, but Mr. Speaker, I resigned. I also chair the Labour Committee. I chair the Young Parliamentarians Association. I am patron of AFC Leopards. I am chair of another committee. So, you know, sometimes we shed off weight. But I'm grateful, and I'm grateful to the leadership for accepting that resignation, and we'll always be keen to serve wherever else, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Mover.
Indeed, Mr. Speaker, in my replying remarks, I wanted first to thank Senator Moses Kajwang for able leadership in that committee, and particularly, Mr. Speaker, because I served in that committee under your leadership for a very short period of time. I didn't finish the year, actually, because it was really, it was taking a lot of time. So if someone is in CPA committee, you must know it takes a lot of time. And, but particularly when I went to the committee the other day, when Elgeyo Marakwet was appearing, the governor, I found out that they have changed, they have innovatively added a number of things, including the investigators sitting there, EACC
Order
sitting
Senator
there.
Sakaja.
And Mr. Speaker, that Mr. Speaker has really helped in making that committee do its work. And I'm sure when the reports are being debated, we shall be even kinder to Senator Moses Kajwang for the great job he did for the 2 years that he led that committee. And I'm sure that, Mr. Speaker, he has learned, he has got greater experience in that area, and I'm sure he's going to contribute in other ways. Senator Sakaja, the same. Mr. Speaker, he made his personal request that he would like to, Mr. Speaker, concentrate on his committee and other parliamentary duties, which have now landed him also on the COVID committee. The last, Mr. Speaker, I know you had said that, Mr. Speaker, Senator Susan Kiiga was very diplomatic today. It's for obvious reasons, Mr. Speaker. You know, Senator Susan Kiiga is a diplomat. I think the top diplomat in this House, because she's a chair of IPU committee, Mr. Speaker, globally. So if she doesn't behave here diplomatically, she would be betraying her diplomatic responsibilities, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, I just want to say we thank you for that opportunity, and I want to wish all our colleagues who are in their committees the very best as they serve, but always remember that your commitment to the committee is more important to all of us. And if the worst happens, we will again replace you midway if need be. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
So I'm going to put the question, members, and this is not a matter affecting counties, and therefore we shall have viva voce vote. I put the question that pursuant to Standing Orders 219, 220, and 221, the Senate approves the following senators nominated by the Senate Business Committee to serve in respective sessional and standing committees of the Senate as follows. A, Committee on County Public Accounts and Investments, Senator Franklin Mithika Linturi, Senator Godana Argura, Senator Paul Kimani Wamatangi, Senator Millicent Omanga, Senator Irungu Kangata, Senator Professor Samson Ongeri, Senator Ledama Olekina, Senator Dr. Ochilo Ayako, Senator Jones Maruma. B, Committee on Delegated Legislation, Senator Samuel Pogisho, Senator Victor Prengay, Senator Philip Baye, Senator Faria Ali, Senator Millicent Omanga, Senator Judith Pareno, Senator Boniface Kabaka, Senator Okongo Mogeni, and Senator Faki Mohammed. And C, Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations. That pursuant to Standing Order 189, the Senate approves Senator Mele Seneta to replace Senator Johnson Sakaja to serve in the Standing Committee on National Security, Defense, and Foreign Relations. As many of similar opinions say aye. And the last many of a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Very well, senators, we are not doing so well. We are really constrained. I'm going to direct as follows, pursuant to Standing Order 40, paragraph 2. The request of the Chairperson Finance Committee, who has assured me that we can dispose the item appearing in order number 9 in less than 15 minutes or inclusive, and take a resolution in less than 15 minutes. I direct, therefore, we go to order number 9, after which, and it should not take more than 15 minutes or inclusive. And after which we shall move straight to order number 15. And time allowing, if we dispose order number 15, we shall then go back to order number 10. So ordered. Next order.
Order number 9, motion, adoption of the reports of the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget regarding the implementation status of the Senate resolution on county government's infrastructure projects.
Senator Mohamud.
I beg to move that the Senate adopts the report of the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget regarding the implementation status of the Senate resolution on county government's infrastructure projects comprising county executive headquarters offices, assembly chambers and offices, and county state officers' residencies laid on the table of the Senate on 28 April 2020. Mr. Speaker, sir, the House was recalled that in 2018, the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget did an inquiry into matters relating to the government infrastructure projects comprising county executive headquarters offices, assembly chambers and offices, and county state officers' offices, after there was a lot of hue and cry in the country. The committee did make a report then and tabled it in the House on 29th of November 2018, and the report was adopted as a resolution of the House on 14th May 2019. So, Speaker, sir, the Senate resolution then recommended that the county government should customize the prototype designs provided by the Ministry of Transport, Infrastructure, Public House and Housing and Urban Development for their respective projects. Mr. Speaker, sir, the following were given estimates as those infrastructure projects. County governors' residences were estimated by Mr. Public Works at 45 million shillings, county deputy governors' offices at 35 million shillings, county assembly speakers' offices at 35 million shillings. The sizes were that they should not exceed more than 2 acres and not below a quarter of an acre. So, Speaker, sir, county executive headquarters were estimated to cost at 500 million shillings, not more than 500 million shillings. And for the chambers, the assemblies that had 30 and below, up to 400 million shillings, assemblies that had between 31 and 60, up to 500 million shillings, assemblies with 61 to 90, between 60 and 90, 750. So, Speaker, sir, it was also recommended then that counties that have already awarded their tenders should actually renegotiate the contract with a view to adjusting the contract sum. So, Speaker, sir, we have been following on this matter, and a lot of information has been coming to us, especially from the Ministry of Transport, Public Works and Infrastructure, because apparently they are unable to move, and the controller budget is not actually releasing funds on those projects because they are going by our guidelines. The Ministry of Transport and Public Works and Urban Development were requesting for the committee to give guidance since some counties have already commenced their projects, some of which were at an advanced stage and their budgets were way above the provided limits. Also, the CRA did write to us and asking us to give guidance, but at the same time saying that counties should actually be sticking to the recommendation given by the Senate. So, Speaker, sir, the committee, in looking at the requests coming from various counties, did receive submissions from counties of West Pokot, Mandera, Kwale, Meru, Marsabit County Assembly. So, Speaker, sir,
Order, Senator Omanga. Senator Omatangi.
In all of this,
Senator Omanga.
The figures.
Can you order, Senator Mahmoud? Order. Senator Omanga, as a senator, you are a role model to millions of people in this country who are even watching these proceedings. It makes our work impossible to talk about social distance when they see senators just whispering to one another in the chamber like we used to do in the olden days. Order. In fact, part of the Speaker's guidelines on during this season requires you to remain at your seat in situ throughout. Order.
Mr. Speaker.
Order. Can you comply first with that directive, Senator Omanga, before we proceed? Because you are making fun of it. If you proceed like this, the Speaker may consider introducing safety belts on seats, which will be locked, which will be locked and the key kept elsewhere until the end of the sitting.
People like Matangi will suffer.
Let's proceed with
Mr. Speaker, sir.
Senator Mahmood.
Mr. Speaker, sir, the communication from the CRA were informing the Senate about various requests from county governments which are sought for exemption from the established guidelines on infrastructure projects. The letters from the CRA also further suggest that counties will actually stick to the recommendations set out in the guidelines. Mr. Speaker, sir, the communication received also from county governments were requesting for exemption from the set guidelines concerning various projects. Mr. Speaker, sir, I mentioned the counties that have already written to us: West Pokot, Mandera, Kwale, Meru, Marsabit, among others. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee did consider the matters raised between the Ministry of Transport and Public Works, the CRA, and also the counties. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee notes as follows: because we are being asked to ask for to do exemption or waiver on a recommendation or guidelines given by this Senate in 2019. Mr. Speaker, sir, whereas counties might have started the project before that, or whereas the contract figures could be above that, the Senate passed a resolution on infrastructure projects in the counties in which the guidelines were set in the expenditure public funds for this purpose. That the guidelines set in the resolution of the House took into account the need for county governments to develop adequate infrastructure to facilitate the discharge of their functions, while at the same time ensuring prudent use of public resources. That in setting out the guidelines on expenditure on infrastructure projects in the counties, the House was not making a mere functionary statement on funds for use for construction projects, but was carrying out its constitutional duty as the body that oversees the prudent use of resources by counties. That the committee has noted that certain counties commenced their infrastructure projects before the resolution on the guidelines were made by the Senate, While the Senate cannot vary or otherwise affect the rights of contracts to which this is not a party to, the resolution will, however, act as a guide for oversight institutions, including Senate, to determine whether prudent use of public funds was exercised. The committee wishes to draw attention to Article 201D, requiring county governments to ensure prudent and reasonable use of public funds. Mr. Speaker, sir, the resolution was setting out guidelines on the scope and estimated cost, which were arrived at after consultation with the Minister of Public Infrastructure, Transport, Public Works, Housing and Urban Development for county government infrastructure projects, with a view to ensuring that there is harmony and uniformity in the provision of these projects. Mr. Speaker, sir, it's important to note that Article 174 of the Constitution, one of the objectives of the devolution is to promote democratic and accountable exercise of power. This includes prudent management of all resources that have been entrusted to develop government.
Just summarize the recommendations you're making.
Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee did not therefore find it within its mandate to waive or exempt counties from the resolution of the House, because I think Senate doesn't have that mandate to actually exempt. Senate is an oversight body, so we thought it is not our mandate to exempt or waive entities from the resolution of this House. The entities have the right under the contract to proceed with their contracts. They have the right to terminate their contracts. They have the right to pay. We are not party to all those, but I think the resolution that we made was that prudent exercise of funds will be done. In fact, our report, if any, will be utilized by oversight authorities so that you can be able to follow and see where there was prudent use of funds. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, with those, the committee upholds that is upon the implementing agencies, that is the county governments, and of course the control of budget, that withdraws funds on their behalf to ensure that they observe the national values and principles of governance, especially on good governance, integrity, transparency, and accountability, and sustainable development in relation to this matter. Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to move, and the essence of our report is that we appreciate, of course, whatever difficulties counties are going through as a result of a resolution, but we have no mandate as Senate to exempt or waive a resolution.
So those ceilings remain as approved by Senate before.
Pardon?
According to your report, the ceilings remain as
Correct.
resolved by Senate before.
But
Very well.
But that does not stop the other bodies to exercise their authority and their work as allowed by their law. But I think what's happening now, control of budget and the rest are actually using the Senate as an excuse not to exercise their role under the Constitution.
Noted.
Because, with those many remarks, I beg to move and ask Senator Mutula Kolonzo Jr. to second.
Very well, Senator Mutula Kolonzo Jr.
Thank you, Speaker. This matter actually gave us anxious moments. Right from the beginning, Mr. Speaker, it was apparent that county governments were using the facility of building for governors, speakers, deputy governors as an avenue for corruption. Mr. Speaker, it would not surprise you that some of the houses that we had seen previously had swimming pools, gyms, 5 bedrooms, underground car parks, etc., etc. Mr. Speaker, once we interrogated this matter as a finance committee, we thought it wise that there should be a standard house for a governor, a standard house for a speaker, and a standard headquarters for county assemblies. Mr. Speaker, hence the resolution that we made. The Public Works gave us what would be a standard house for any governor, any speaker, together with their ego, to fit in that house, sleep, and not have a problem at night. Mr. Speaker, it was indeed very surprising after our resolution, Mr. Speaker, that we got the following. The county government of West Pokot, Speaker's residence, 68 million. County government of Mandera. And Mr. Speaker, allow me to say this, that our chairman, Senator Mahmood, has distinguished himself as an honest gentleman. Why do I say so? And I compliment him, although I didn't say this at the meeting, that one of the impugned counties is actually Mandera County, where they are seeking to construct a governor's house at 258 million, a deputy governor's house at 78 million, and the speaker's residence at 46 million. Mr. Speaker, this is a sort of exercise that makes our work and the work of making sure that counties get enough resources look as if we are jokers and counties are joking. So, Mr. Speaker, even the proposal by government, you cannot even blame government sometimes when they say that counties do not need the money that they get, because the proposals they make, Mr. Speaker, are extremely ridiculous. We saw the pictures of a house of a governor. Mr. Speaker, the picture of that house which was possibly 3 floors, was in the middle of nowhere. And that county wants justification, Mr. Speaker, for Senate to approve those things. What the control of budget and these counties were doing, Mr. Speaker, and Senator Mahmood is right, Mr. Speaker, was to use us as fair comply in this. It is corruption. Call it as it is. It is corruption. Most of them were aware, Mr. Speaker, and we have alluded to it, about the recommendations of COB. So what did they do? They entered rushedly into these contracts, Mr. Speaker, so that, Mr. Speaker, they can do what Kenyans are known to do best. Eat until you start vomiting. Kwale, governor's residence, 149 million. Meru County, governor's residence, 127 million. Even these residences are not even fit for a king. Deputy governor, 63 million. Marsabit County, 344 million. There is no justification, Mr. Speaker, in law, before God, and before anybody, to have residences costing that amount of money. Mr. Speaker, the chairman did not say this, but as a committee, this is what we have said in so many words. Any county that violates the ceilings set by the Senate must be held accountable before ESCC and the committee that we have set out, which is CPIC, Mr. Speaker, because there's no reason, and there is no reason that they have given for upsetting the ceilings we have given. Mr. Speaker, it will make devolution a joke if we can approve a house for a human being that costs 258 million shillings. It is ridiculous. Some people should be embarrassed for suggesting that you can live in a governor's house worth 100 million shillings. If the standard, Mr. Speaker, was to be used. Even these governors, even those ones who are billionaires, their houses have not cost that amount of money. Why would you use that amount of money to construct a residence that is official, which you are not going to live in, which you are not going to give your son, your daughter, or any other person? It is ridiculous. Mr. Speaker, I support. Thank you.
Order. Order. Order, Senator Linturi. I propose the question, which is that the Senate adopts the report of the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget regarding the implementation status of the Senate resolution on county government's infrastructure projects comprising county executive headquarter offices, assembly chambers, and offices, and county state officers' residences laid on the table of the Senate on 28 April 2020. Order. As we agreed at the beginning of this sitting, this is not the most urgent matter to the nation. The limited legislative time we have to use it sparingly in the interest of the most urgent matter, which is the next agenda. So I'll allow only very few observations, and we shall agree to leave it at that. And Senator Kabaka, be brief.
Thank you, very brief. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this opportunity. I'm also a member of the Committee of Finance and Budget and wish to congratulate my chairman, Mahmoud, for a job well done. Only that he forgot to mention among the list, I think 6 of the counties, Machakos is part of it. Machakos want to put up, a county assembly beyond the ceiling, which has been specified. The ceiling is 250 million, but their request, which they presented before this committee, is 400 million. And like my brother, Senator Mutula Jr. said, I think this is a kind of an avenue to loot this money. There's no other way. Mr. Speaker, sir, before I sit, I've traveled to Nakuru, and I want to do some kind of juxtaposition, a kind of comparison analysis. If you visit Nakuru, and as good distinguished Senator Keika Kimani is here.
Order. Order. Order.
Susan, Senator Susan.
If you add Susan, the rest is okay.
She will support.
She can be Senator Susan Kihika Kimani.
It's a way of praising women gender issue.
Order. Order.
Yes.
Order, Senator Kabaka was trying to rescue you.
I know.
Only for you to muddy your own waters.
Let me proceed, Mr. Speaker.
Okay.
Mr. Speaker, I visited, I think, the Committee of Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations. We once visited Nakuru County, trying to evaluate whether they qualify for the city status. And one of the key things I'll never forget, I may leave this Senate next time when I'm going to become a governor of Machakos. Mr. Speaker, I'll tell you that one thing I learned, I praise CC.
Senator Kabaka.
Mr. Speaker.
If you want to become governor of Machakos,
yes,
this is not the place. Yes.
Mr. Speaker,
sum up your very good arguments.
For the statements, some statement you need to add some salt. I even know, Mr. Speaker, even from where you sit, you have similar interests from wherever.
Order. 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 Order, Senator Kabaka. Order. Order. Summarize.
I summarize by saying that I compared a building, the hospital, level 5, I think it's level 5, which costed 250 million. It's crazy. The way that hospital is functioning with all the equipment and so forth. Now, to hear that a county like Machakos is going, whose collection of the on-source revenue is very low as compared to the previous years, that it wants to put up a county assembly, double the amount, I think there's a lot to be questioned. And I think let's call a spade a spade. I think these counties, those which want the ceiling to be enhanced, is a way of trying to loot. We don't need this house. In fact, we should even pass law where governors should be operating from their houses. And that's it. And that money goes towards service delivery to the Kenyans who are suffering.
Point made.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Point made. Senator Irungu Kangata. Briefly,
Yeah.
Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, first is to congratulate the committee for the recommendations, but I propose there are two other entities that needs to be brought in. I think they're also culpable. Number one, the Salaries and Remuneration Commission in the year 2015 made a recommendation that governors should build their own houses, purportedly to save on the housing allowance. For me, that somehow gave the leeway for governors to now commence this construction of very expensive houses. For me, when you look at the kind of money that has been expended in building these houses, vis-a-vis the so-called savings in terms of the allowances, that does not make any connection. I see corruption, and therefore, in a way, Salaries and Remuneration Commission should either revisit that resolution or also be made accountable. It gave leeway to governors to do this problem. Number two, we have engineers who ought to be punished. Most of these houses, they are usually built with what we call bill of quantities, obtained from the Ministry of Public Works. They are the ones who come up with such humongous bill of quantities. And therefore, we need to, my brother, the chairman, because he's also an engineer, we need to come up with a mechanism of punishing engineers who superintend these huge infrastructure projects. They are the one who give the BQ. They are the one who later give the so-called certificate of completion. And those certificate of completions have huge costs.
Point noted. Point noted. Move to the next one.
My final point is that this issue should not be left at this stage. We need either to escalate it to the Public Accounts Committee or even the DCI or even the DPP. We need to have governors arrested. We need to have engineers arrested. We need to have every person who stole those millions taken to court for this kind of scandal which we have just been told by this committee. Thank you.
Well done. I'll allow two more. Senator Matangi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to congratulate the committee, also the chairperson of the Committee on Finance and his team members for the job that they've done. It's a job well done, Mr. Speaker. I've come across this, Mr. Speaker, because I also chair the Committee on Transport, which also has in its docket urban development, and also public works falls under my committee, Mr. Speaker. And just two issues. First, in our first term, Mr. Speaker, when we paid a visit to the county of Kitui, I was with Senator Mutula Kilonzo. We found then that his speaker of the county assembly, sitting like where you are sitting, Mr. Speaker, behind him, he had constructed a whole 20 by 20 bathroom and a jacuzzi inside the office, where when things get too hot, he goes and dips in the jacuzzi and, in Kitui. Yes.
That is a criminal act, almost.
Yes, but it's a reality. I was with Senator Mutula. But what I wanted to say, Mr. Speaker, is this. I think that report needs to be taken a little further than that by the committee because, Mr. Speaker, in a tour that we did to inspect these buildings that have been constructed either by governors as their residences and other buildings, Mr. Speaker, one thing came out. For example, in the county of Turkana, the governor's residence that was already constructed almost three-quarter way to completion had cost way much more than what the ceiling allows. The same situation is in Pokot. The same is in Kwale, Mr. Speaker. And the question is, now that these people cannot be given the money they seek because it is beyond the ceiling, what do they do with the structures that are there, Mr. Speaker? And maybe the committee should take this further and recommend, should these facilities then be converted into county facilities that will serve other purposes? But otherwise, if you look at some of those structures, Mr. Speaker, if they're left the way they are, we are going to have a replication of the National Youth Service buildings and residential houses. That
Senator
have been lying
Sakaja,
there.
don't go away. We are almost going to your agenda. Don't go too far.
Mr. Speaker, we
Please
are going
wind
to have a
up. There is no
replication.
need of repeating what has been said by others.
Absolutely, I'm not repeating, Mr. Speaker. But the point I wanted to make is very simple, that we also must have that report finalizing by saying precisely that this is what should happen to the structures that have been built. Thank you.
Thank
Mr.
you. Senator Argura.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to commend the committee for coming up with the report, because I had engaged the chair when the clerk of the Marsabit County Assembly came to follow up on that issue. Mr. Speaker, generally, yes, we must have ceilings, and these ceilings should have been given at the right time. Now, we are not addressing the issue here. We are trying to save money, but we might lose more through litigation, because we have contracts which have been awarded and contractors have signed those contracts. Some of them have even done more than 50% of the work, like the Marsabit one. We are running away from a situation where we are going to spend more than even the 250 we are saying for the chambers, because if our contract was given of 344, the contractor will claim that because he was not the cause of scaling down. So I'll rather, Mr. Speaker, we go this way, that let's go case by case. If the contracts have been signed before the ceilings came in, because the issue now is the controller of budgets is not releasing any money, and what is used is the Senate resolution, and Senate is trying to run away from that resolution, that we are the ones who created that situation. Let's assess.
Point made.
Yes, going forward.
Point made.
New contracts should not be
Point
signed above
made.
the ceiling, but the existing
Point
one,
made.
let's own it up that we cannot allow losses to go.
Very well. Thank you, Senator Argura.
Thank you.
Order, senators, for those senators who are retreating from the chamber, please note that we are just about to start the main business, the current business now. And also please note that the Senate will rise at 6:30 p.m. and not 4:30. So, Chairperson, you are the mover of this motion. This motion, would you want to reply? Yes, what is this, Senator Linturi? Sorry again? You are not on record, Senator Linturi. Order. What did you say the chair has done?
I'm sorry, Mr. Kindly indulge me for a minute or two, Mr. Speaker.
Just one minute, Senator Linturi.
To differ with the committee, because, Mr. Speaker, I think I listened to the chairman, and the chairman laid very good basis on their recommendations. Mr. Speaker, I would want to say that the committee, in my view, has failed the objectivity test. In the sense that, Mr. Speaker, he mentioned very well that these committees, or these counties started their projects before the Senate made that resolution, Mr. Speaker. So that resolution would not have been binding to them, because these contracts were done before the passage of that resolution. Mr. Speaker, they have cleverly run away from that responsibility of trying to devise on what should happen by saying this is out of our mandate. Mr. Speaker, Meru suffers the similar
not
fate.
imputing
that
proper
they've been
motives.
Pardon,
I think
Mr.
that those are views of the committee.
Yes.
But when you use words like cleverly running away from responsibility,
but they have said they will
that's not
that's not their
parliamentary.
mandate.
That's not parliamentary. It's the views. You can differ and say,
I stand guided, Mr.
you can
Speaker.
differ and say it is their mandate.
Mr. Speaker, why I speak passionately about this thing is because Meru is an area I understand. I may not differ with agree with the administration, but Mr. Speaker, because I know what is happening there, and the level at which the building is, and the contractor having intimated of going to court, and even having written to me personally, then Mr. Speaker was probably gone further in trying to devise or bring in the CRI, the control of Mbanja, and whoever who is involved to seek a solution, because when we run away from this one, Mr. Speaker, we're inviting serious legal suits that will end up making counties incur a lot of costs.
You've made your point.
In the run, Mr. Speaker.
You've made your point. The committee has noted. Now, you can reply. And as you reply, I make a determination that this is a matter concerning counties. Therefore,
Mr. Speaker, sir,
you have to make the right application.
Mr. Speaker, sir, let me thank the members for their comments. Mr. Speaker, the difficulty Senate has and as a committee we have is that we are an oversight institution. We don't run contracts for counties. We gave an advisory opinion which is meant to safeguard public resources. We found it difficult to come back and exempt and waive the way our colleagues are saying. There could be truth in what they are saying, but in the circumstances in which we are, as Senate, as an institution of oversight in the Constitution, we do not have a mandate, I think, and I can't be corrected, to exempt and say this contract is okay, this is okay. For that reason, I think the control of budget is the one that is running away from responsibility. After all, they have been servicing some contracts, and now suddenly they stop and they come back to us as scapegoats. I think nothing stops because they have the constitutional right, but as an oversight body, this is the best we can do as the committee of the House. And my advice to you as the Senate is this one, but nothing stops the control of budget and the rest to continue with their contracts. We cannot, because we cannot, but we cannot come and say that we vacate our resolution, because that will be not constitutional, I think. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. But thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I beg to move.
And what else do you beg to do?
I beg to request that voting to be deferred to another day.
So ordered. Next order. For those senators who are within the vicinity, the Principles of Parliament, this sitting proceeds up to 6:30 p.m.
Order number 15, motion, third progress report of the ad hoc committee on COVID-19 situation in Kenya.
Chairperson, ad hoc committee on the COVID situation in Kenya.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I raise to move that the Senate adopts the third progress report of the ad hoc committee on COVID-19 situation in Kenya, laid on the table of the Senate on Tuesday, 28th, 2020. Mr. Speaker, I seek guidance on how many minutes I have. It's quite an extensive report, but I'll just give an executive summary.
Can you do, in the interest of time and to allow as many senators as possible to speak on this issue, which is a national-wide pandemic, can you do with 20?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. 20, but then you're, because you'll need a seconder, the seconder will do 10.
Thank you, Dr.
And thereafter, every senator, 5 minutes. I want to assess the mood of the House. Is that acceptable? As many of that opinion say aye. As many of contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Proceed, Senator Sakaja.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as noted, in the first and second progress reports dated 7th April 2020 and 14th April 2020, during the initial phases of the work of this ad hoc committee, we clustered emerging issues into 5 thematic areas, Mr. Speaker. These are issues arising from COVID-19 outbreak. The issues are as follows: health, number 1. Number 2, economic and finance issues. Number 3, social public order and human rights. Number 4, access to food, water, and other basic commodities. and 5, support services and cross-cutting issues. Having already reviewed best practice from comparative jurisdictions and analyzed key issues and concerns arising from the 5 thematic areas as captured in the first and second progress reports that are before this House and are available to the public, the committee resolved to focus on one thematic area at a time for purposes of facilitating a more in-depth analysis of the issues arising in each thematic area. Accordingly, the focus of this report, Mr. Speaker, is on the first thematic area of health. Subsequent progress reports will focus on the other thematic areas as captured above, and for next week we expect a report on economic and finance issues. Mr. Speaker, that is the reason why the Chair of Health will second this report. In relation to this thematic area, Mr. Speaker, we've deliberated extensively on issues relating to community health, testing, quarantine, isolation, ICU facilities, human resources for health, drugs and supplies, the role and the level of engagement of county governments, and mental health and psychosocial support. Subsequently, pursuant to Article 118 of the Constitution and the Senate standing orders on public participation, the committee invited stakeholders and members of the public to submit written memoranda arising from and or related to this pandemic. As of 27th of April 2020, the committee had received a total of 160 written submissions from members of the public, from public and private institutions, and a majority of which directly addressed concerns arising from this first thematic area of health. So today, that is just the focus for this report. Broadly speaking, the key issues of public concern are isolated and categorized from the various written submissions to the committee, included access to information and data, universal access to healthcare, community health services, testing, personal protective equipment, popularly known as PPEs, availability and access to ICU facilities in the country, quarantine and isolation, human resources for health, health products and technologies, access to essential and emergency health services, mental health and psychosocial support. Having deliberated upon and analyzed the various issues and concerns raised on these issues, we held a number of sittings, 7 key meetings, 13 key stakeholder sessions on health in the health sector, drawn for both levels of government, the national and the county, professional associations and societies, health worker unions, private sector, as indicated below. From the government agencies and departments, we met with the Ministry of Health, led by the CS. We met the Council of Governors, the County Assemblies Forum, and the Kenya Medical Research Institute, and I'll speak more about that. From the representative health worker groups, professional associations such as KMA, the Kenya Medical Association, National Nurses Association of Kenya, Pharmaceutical Society of Kenya, Kenya Association of Clinical Pathologists. From the health worker unions, we met the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Union, KMPDU, Kenya Union of Clinical Officers, Kenya National Union of Nurses. And from the private sector, we met the Kenya Healthcare Federation. These are the private providers, health providers, and Coalition of Community Health Workers, CHWs. And I wish to take this opportunity on behalf of the Senate to thank all of them for their very, very useful contributions and for the work that they're doing. I pray that God may continue to bless them as they stand in the front line of our battle against corona. Based on its analysis of the written memoranda, Mr. Speaker, and on the submissions made by the key stakeholders in the health sector, the committee is pleased to table before this House this third progress report, which I will urge senators to look at it as substantive proposals, observations, and recommendations for adoption. Once adopted, then we can follow the implementation of these very specific recommendations. Mr. Speaker, this situation is a highly evolving one. Things keep changing every day. And as such, the observations and recommendations contained in this report reflect the situational context and information that was available to the committee at the time of writing this report. Accordingly, as the COVID-19 outbreak situation evolves, the government's response evolves with it. Some of the committee's observations and recommendations on the thematic area may be, by necessity, be reviewed, and we will continue. And that is why, Mr. Speaker, you gave us a 6-month mandate coupled with a 1-week reporting requirement. For the current situation, however, in relation to this thematic area, we observe that 1, Kenya is likely still in the initial stage of the COVID-19 outbreak. While consensus on the country's modeling projections is yet to be conclusively arrived at, according to submissions made by the Ministry of Health, Kenya stands at risk of losing up to 30,000 lives during the peak phase of the outbreak, unless strict adherence to the recommendations and directives by government on hygiene and containment measures, Mr. Speaker. That is our exposure. However, Mr. Speaker, and according to the Ministry of Health as well, the projected high numbers in deaths attributable to COVID can be significantly reduced by proper adherence to the recommended government measures and maintenance of strict hygiene standards. And that is why, Mr. Speaker, I am happy when you insisted that one of the members in the House adhere to these very simple rules that have been set out, therefore our good. 2, while there are some disparities in the level of preparedness amongst counties, most counties remain largely unprepared to meet the demands of this pandemic. According to the health workers and various groups that are representative of them who appeared before the committee, most counties still lack adequate supplies of PPE. They have poorly equipped isolation and treatment facilities and have not facilitated adequate COVID-19 training and sensitization for the health workers. Mr. Speaker, in our meetings, we spoke to the actual nurses in different parts of the country, the clinical officers, not just in Nairobi, but actually where they are in the hospitals. And many of them even expressed fear that they are afraid that they are exposed and they are not, trained well enough. Nevertheless, Mr. Speaker, some counties were singled out, like Makueni, Mombasa, Marsabit, Machakos, Kisumu, Laikipia, Kiambu, Isiolo, and Kisii were singled out by the Ministry of Health for having made laudable progress in initiating and implementing their specific county response plans. Number 3, the government has made commendable progress in ensuring universal access through commitments to meet the cost of treatment for COVID-19 patients at public hospitals, and by demonstrating willingness to fully cover COVID-19 patients in a proposed UHC scheme under the NHIF benefits package, and that is something we continue to follow up, Mr. Speaker. The committee further observes that enhanced utilization of telehealth, telemedicine services will have a significant impact on enhancing access to specialist services, addressing existing disparities in access to care, and promoting quality, affordable care. However, the regulations, protocols, and guidelines necessary for this, Mr. Speaker, are pending completion and publication by the Ministry of Health and the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Council at the time of writing this report. With regard to ICU facilities, we face very serious deficits as a country in the availability of ICU beds and ventilators, and this is something we need to consider seriously as a Senate. According to the Ministry of Health and other stakeholders, we only have a total of 518 ICU beds in both public and private facilities. Of this, 94% of 448 ICU beds out of 518 are already in use by non-COVID-19 patients requiring critical care services. Mr. Speaker, we need to consider as a Senate if we can make sure that either since the Division of Revenue is coming back to us, or through CARA, or whichever way, or even through the emergency fund, Mr. Speaker, we can help each and every county get at least 10 ICU facilities, Mr. Speaker, 10 ICU beds. That will raise the number by 470.
Order, Senator Mahmood and Senator Kihika. Order. Order. This disease is real. The disease is real. And to enable our people obey the rules, we must be seen to obey the rules. Continue, Senator Sakaja.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
What is it, Senator Tulakaloza Jr.?
The rules further state that when you take your seat, you shall not sit on another person's seat.
Absolutely.
Yes, because even the clerk's table, they have had to sanitize
Absolutely.
the seat and
when
bring
the
another
clerks
seat.
transisted, the one clerk had to vacate and they sanitize the table.
Yeah.
And I think, to be fair, I think we are all learning to adjust to life BC before Corona. and life after corona. But please, the disease is real. People are dying by the minute all over the world. Rich and poor, powerful and weak, old and young. Proceed, Senator Sakaja.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So I was speaking about ICU facilities and what we need to do as a Senate. We have 27 counties that do not have a single ICU facility. And we need to look at that as a direct ring-fenced allocation to specific counties. Mr. Speaker, with regards to availability of ventilators, we have only 297, of which 90 are available to the public at health facilities. According to submissions, Mr. Speaker, an additional 30 ventilators were procured by the Ministry of Health, but the COG stated that none of these additional ventilators have been distributed to them. And of course, we have written to the ministry to establish where these ventilators, because also, as you know, with the issue with MES, they need the personnel. Critically, Mr. Speaker, what is actually really needed is oxygen and basic oxygen equipment to the counties, and the lack of it threatens our ability to care for and manage COVID-19 patients who may develop mild to moderate symptoms. Mr. Speaker, we note that according to submissions received from the COG and the Ministry of Health, the national government has made a commitment to allocate 5 billion shillings to county governments to be disbursed over a period of 3 months to facilitate county response plans and to facilitate purchase of necessary equipment and essential medical supplies and commodities such as PPEs, Mr. Speaker. In relation to human resource for health, we take note and laud the mass recruitment exercise by the national government, which is set to increase the number of HRH, human resource for health, responding to the pandemic by 5,500 health workers under the UHC scheme, 703 contracted health professionals, including 188 medical officers, 72 medical specialists, 94 clinical officers, 235 ICU nurses, 94 chest physiotherapists, and 20 epidemiologists, Mr. Speaker. We note with concern the exclusion of other cadres of health workers, such as graduate and specialist nurses from the mass recruitment exercise. With regards to providing, and Mr. Speaker, this is extremely important, an adequate compensation package for the motivation and welfare of our health workers, Mr. Speaker, we take note of and laud a commitment to develop a comprehensive compensation package for health workers, which includes medical, disability, and life insurance for health workers, risk allowances, tax relief, Mr. Speaker. During a pandemic, if we actually say that we can give income tax relief to all our medical personnel, for that period, whether it's 3 months or 6 months, it goes a long way in not only boosting their morale, but also providing for them in these unique circumstances. With regards to PPEs, Mr. Speaker, we note that at the time we wrote this report, the Ministry of Health reported it had distributed and delivered 3,682 PPEs to various facilities. Of course, this number is lower than what is required, and we're glad that they're continuing to increase this number and also produce locally. Mr. Speaker, we have insisted that every measure must be taken to ensure that health workers receive adequate PPEs and that the standard, the quality of the standard, be set by KEBS and be verified. The minister demonstrated to us that he actually tested the PPEs together with the doctors and from Kenya and from elsewhere, and at that point our quality was up to par, and we encourage that because we also want to encourage local manufacturing and our local, even pharmaceutical sector to really be able to take off, because we cannot rely on imports from China and other such places. Mr. Speaker, we further take note of concerns. There's a very serious concern raised by COG and Ministry of Health on the issue of personnel regarding resident doctors who are on study leave, who are rendering services right now at national teaching and health referral facilities. Mr. Speaker, with regards to these concerns on efforts by various county governments want this personnel back to their counties to facilitate the county response activities. We observe that the fourth schedule assigns the function of training and capacity building to the national government, according to the submissions made by KMPDU. These doctors provide over 60% of the health workforce at national teaching and referral hospitals. And while we acknowledge that the national government meets the cost of their training, county governments have been forced to bear the heavy cost of paying salaries for these doctors whose services are essentially rendered at national level. For instance, Mr. Speaker, Kisii County has 65 doctors on postgraduate training. The annual cost of training one such doctor is around 500,000 shillings. So the total cost on the national government for training these 65 doctors is around 32.5 million. However, the county government of Kisii pays them, and these doctors are in Nairobi, they're not in Kisii, pays them around 250,000, 200 to 300,000 shillings per month. So, Mr. Speaker, the cost to Kisii County government in the year is 195 million, or at most 234 million shillings, which is 6 to 7 times the cost incurred by the national government. So there needs to be a balance, Mr. Speaker, and we have specific recommendations on that. Mr. Speaker, there are many other issues on human resource for health. I will just keep then the report because I don't want to miss out on some of the key issues, including the issue of mass testing. Mr. Speaker, we have the capacity through KEMRI to test 20,000, to do 20,000 tests a day, Mr. Speaker. And there had been a limitation in the transportation and actually collection of the samples, but I'm glad to note that KEMRI is actually pioneering on the continent by being they are now producing, we're actually producing and manufacturing that equipment and even now exporting it to other countries. So we expect testing to go up. Our current capacity is 37,000 tests per day. And Mr. Speaker, we need to address the issue of lack of adequate specialized lab personnel, sample collection kits, and insufficient reagents and consumables necessary for conducting these tests. Mr. Speaker, we take note of and we laud efforts by the Ministry of Health and KEMRI to scale up testing, as demonstrated by initiating automatic testing. We are conducting what we call whole genome sequencing on COVID-19 virus, developing points of care screening kits, Mr. Speaker, producing viral transport media, which is what I was talking about, that we're even supplying our neighbors, and it's resulted in a lot of cost savings to the government. Despite these achievements, we nonetheless note that having exhausted most of its capacity in the personnel, equipment, reagents, and materials, KEMRI needs an urgent 790 million shillings to meet its institutional needs in personnel, reagents, consumables, and the other needs, research and equipment. Further, Mr. Speaker, and as I intimated earlier, the committee notes with concern the recent media reports regarding the demotion of Dr. Joel Lutomia, the chair of KEMRI Rapid Response Team, and director, KEMRI Center for Virus Research, by Mr. Yeri Kombe, allegedly after being instructed by the CS of Health for failure to release timely results on Friday. Mr. Speaker, in relation to the above, we observe that the timing of this dismissal or demotion is wrong. It is likely to have a significant impact on the morale and motivation of various staff that are working under him. Further, it is unclear if the proper laid-down procedures were followed, as well as the administrative processes. So, Mr. Speaker, as I said earlier, we are inquiring into this matter further as the committee, and we will bring the responses as requested by Senator Were and Senator Malala. With respect to isolation facilities, according to the submissions, we face a critical deficit in isolation capacity. The projected needs for these beds, Mr. Speaker, are 3,116. And so that is an area where we've made recommendations. Further, we note, for purposes of controlling against risk of cross-contamination and minimizing disruptions, it is necessary for governments at national and county level to move expeditiously to designate specific facilities for isolation, Mr. Speaker, at national and regional. We don't have to do it in every county as at this point, but within the regions, we can have one facility, Mr. Speaker, for now, as we go on to build the capacity of our counties, even moving forward. Mr. Speaker, quarantine is also another huge issue. And with respect to this, Mr. Speaker, we've noted, of course, the number of people who had been held, but we have said, Mr. Speaker, quarantine is being used illegally as, as a criminal. People are being taken to quarantine for not being, not adhering to the curfew. And if you look at the notice on the public order, Mr. Speaker, if somebody is violating that order, they need to be taken to a police cell or to be taken to court. Mr. Speaker, the reason we're saying this is because this is contributing to stigmatization and criminalization of coronavirus, Mr. Speaker, such that any Kenyan who wants to go get tested is afraid of being criminalized and stigmatized, as opposed to us using a language that is supportive, Mr. Speaker, and empathetic when we're dealing with this, Mr. Speaker. With respect to community health services, so Mr. Speaker, on that one, we have made clear recommendations that the law be followed, but also let us look at the state of quarantine facilities. We've been speaking to some of the quarantine Kenyans, and they've told us what they're going through, and the ministry has assured us of improvements in the state of such facilities. On community health services, we observe, Mr. Speaker, community health workers, and Senator Zani has a bill on this, are a key part, Mr. Speaker, in dealing with this. In West Africa, Ebola crisis was dealt with primarily because of what community health workers were able to be able to do, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we've asked for the adequate deployment. They exist. In Nairobi, we have more than 5,000, and there are many all over the country, for them to be deployed and for them to be engaged by county governments to be given a stipend, for them to be able to operate. And I think the Budget and Finance Committee might need to look into this issue further to this report. Mr. Speaker, there's need for mental health, psychosocial support, not just for Kenyans because of stigmatization, but also because of the frontline health personnel. Mr. Speaker, we've already started seeing the breakdown of society, increase in domestic violence. We've seen some of the health workers actually moving into undesired behavior, as they themselves have said, and we need them to be supported to get trauma counseling, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we note the need for government to act urgently to ensure delivery of mental health services. Mathare National Hospital is singled out because services had been disrupted there, and we've said that it must resume work because mental health has not taken a break during Corona. The Kenya Healthcare Foundation, Mr. Speaker, gave us very good submissions, and we've been able to connect them and interact with the national government to make sure they get certain concessions in certain validation costs, etc. They told us about the global supply chain pressures, the fragmentation of the supply chain, and many other issues, including insurance, and you'll find them in the report. I cannot be able to go through them. But, Mr. Speaker, we want to laud the achievements of KEMRI in initiating automated testing, developing a whole genome sequencing, developing screening kits and viral transport media. However, Mr. Speaker, the potential of Kenya's academic and research institutions in driving our response to COVID-19 remains largely untapped, owing to several years of neglect and inadequate funding. And, Mr. Speaker, without going into technical issues, because based on these sittings, I have now become almost like a doctor, the issue of us dealing with HIV and TB has actually given us quite some capacity in what we call gene expert machines across the country. And so there are just small things that need to be done to add to the capacity of KEMRI. Mr. Speaker, if you allow me just 5 more minutes, I know my time is up, to give the recommendations, then Senator Mbito can pick up from there.
Yeah, please make it 5.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, there are very many, my committee has done a thorough job, as you'd expect. And so I will try to...
It's very commendable. Just we try and accommodate you, but I'm sure you also want to hear the inputs of other colleagues.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, there are 44 recommendations, so I can't read 44. I will look for the top, recommendations. Of course, I must say we need to leverage religious, political, and community leaders at all levels for dissemination of well-packaged COVID public messages. And further, the current communication and messaging strategy employed by the ministry needs to be shifted from one that emphasizes criminality to one that emphasizes social responsibility and solidarity. We don't need to preach fear anymore. Let's preach social responsibility and solidarity. Mr. Speaker, the ongoing efforts by Ministry of Health to include proposed UHC scheme and NHIF benefits package needs to be fast-tracked, and there's a role we are playing as the Senate. Mr. Speaker, we have asked the MOH to provide a report to the Senate on the whereabouts of the 30 ventilators it is said to have purchased, and that in order to narrow the alarming gap in critical care services across the counties, a grant from the COVID-19 Emergency Fund be provided for every county to make sure every county gets 10 extra ICU beds, Mr. Speaker. That is a very specific proposal, and that this 5 billion promised to county governments be released, because as of the time we spoke to them, they had not seen it. Mr. Speaker, county assemblies need to speedily ensure passage and, proper prioritization of supplementary budgets needed by counties to enable implementation of county-led response plans. Mr. Speaker, we've said that a conditional grant be provided for counties for services forgone that is equivalent to the annual cost of releasing postgraduate doctors who have gone on study leave. The ministry needs to fast track the activation of these gene expert machines in counties and scale up the supply of sample collection kits. Further, that it needs to fast track the accreditation of regional laboratories in Machakos, Malindi, Wajir, Busia, and Trans Nzoia, as well as ILRI, ICIPE, AMREF, and UN. Mr. Speaker, on top of that, we have said, of course, I've spoken about Dr. Lutomia and 790 million to be allocated to KEMRI, that, Mr. Speaker, NHIF needs to expedite the release of all NHIF payments due to hospitals, including private hospitals, because they're really stretching their capacity at this time. And the ministry needs to fast-track appointment of the new Pharmacy and Poisons Board. We need to expedite publication and implementation of the Mental Health Task Force report. We need to make sure that we have adequate PPEs. And on ensuring the quality and standards, Mr. Speaker, they need to engage the health worker, who are the end users. You know, they're the ones who are going to wear them. So they need to be engaged on quality assessment for both locally manufactured and exported PPEs, and that KEBS acts to ensure strict adherence, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'll ask members to go through the report. There are very many other recommendations, and you'll be proud to note that as of today, this committee has now held 33 sittings, and we continue to play our part on all those 5 thematic areas. Mr. Speaker, a more comprehensive detailing of the committee's observations and recommendations are contained in a matrix in the final chapter of this report that goes to each and every part of it. And as I conclude, Mr. Speaker, allow me once again to really thank your office and the office of the clerk. Mr. Speaker, the staff in the Senate, as I always say, are possibly the most amazing public officers, and they can even compete with many private officers in terms of how they're able, Mr. Speaker, in terms of their professionalism, in terms of their alacrity, in terms of their resource. And many times when we ask the questions to even the professionals, because we have the professionals in our team, they get shocked. So, Mr. Speaker, I will single them out in the next meeting. But further and finally, we thank the Ministry of Health. It is a tough time. And we've told the Ministry of Health, Mr. Speaker, and allow me to say this, because there are certain ministries, and allow me to, I will name them next Tuesday if they have not complied, who have been playing cat and mouse games with this committee. We want to tell them politely that, one, oversight has not been suspended by Corona. The Senate will play its role. Parliament needs to play its role. But we're not doing so in an antagonistic manner. In fact, for all the CSs who have come, we have, I think, around 5 CSs who have come to us. They've left enriched with new ideas, and they're the ones who now even are calling back to ask when the next meeting can be. So the 2 or 3 ministries, and they know themselves, who have been trying to evade meetings, please come. We are supporting each other. This is a time that this country needs leadership, it needs partnership, it needs all of us to be able to play our role from the different places we sit at as leaders in this republic. I thank the Council of Governors, the County Assemblies Forum, KEMRI, KMA, all the stakeholders who came, KMPDU, and we want to assure them of our continuous support as we fight this pandemic, and we as a country will definitely overcome. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well done. Thank you, Senator Sakaja. I think the report is extensive. You have tried to do justice. Who is your seconder?
Mr. Speaker, I wish that you allow Senator Mbito, the Chair of Health, the real boss of this thing, to second.
Very well. Before I allow Senator Mbito not more than 10 minutes to second, I want to give further directions, which is after this I'll propose the question, and each senator who will get a chance will get not more than 5 minutes to do so. But around 5 minutes to time, we shall put the question so that we adopt the report, or the question will be put to adopt or not to adopt the report, so that the report then, once it's owned by the House, because it's a weekly report, which is on the matters as they are now, and we don't want a carryover to next week, because next week there will be another report. I will give further directions on what will happen to the report at that point, so that it's not just a piece of beautiful academic and policy work by Senator Sakaja's committee. What is it, Senator Sakaja? Before I give you a second,
yes,
the floor.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for that direction. I wish to request further that once the question has been put, that you can allow us to just start moving, even though it will be 2 minutes, moving the bill, so as to,
Very well.
to strengthen the public
Then in
participation.
that, so that you set it in motion, then let's agree then to stop at 6:15. We put the question on this report by 6:15. Is that the mood of the House? Very well. What is it, Senator? Somebody is calling the speaker. Is it Senator Mutula Kilonzo? Okay. Oh, you are applauding the chair. Well, thank you. Thank you, Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr. Senator Dr. Mbito. And thanks very much. I saw the Health Committee engaging on the sad death that occurred at KNH of Professor Walibora.
Thank you.
Good job.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker. As I second this motion by the ad hoc committee, let me state that my able chair has really canvassed very well on these matters, and the issues has really given a good summary on the issues we have covered. Mr. Speaker, this committee, I can say without fear of any, we have covered most of the stakeholders in the health sector. We have sat down with them, we have listened to them, and we've come up with, we've gotten their concerns. And Mr. Speaker, I would just wish to maybe just make a comment or two on what we have noticed so far. One of the issues, in as much as the government, in as much as the Ministry of Health has been very supportive and have come up with issues on how to address corona, we still felt as a committee that there was some disconnect between the national government and the county governments. This I say because when we talk to the CS, we got a lot of good promises on the kind of engagements he wants to make with counties and the resources he wants to make available, and how they have identified, areas of where they can quarantine people and the rest. But one big issue we noticed that they really have not gone to the ground. And here I want to make a comment on community health workers. We sat with the Council of Governors, and the chair, Governor Paranya, confirmed that he in his county, he has 3,000 community health workers. Isiolo County has almost 700 community health workers. And when I asked the county, the chairman, whether this is the case for the whole country, he gave an answer in the affirmative. Yet, from Trans Nzoia, my county, we don't have any community health workers. So if that happens to if that is the case in my county, what about other counties? That is the big question, because the CS of Health, Wanamutai Kagwe, was informing us that there's money that he wants to send to every county for these community health workers. Now, when that money gets to a county like Trans Nzoia, yet we don't even have any community health workers, where will that money go? Because we are being told that right now, a lot of training is going on the community health workers. PPEs are being procured for the community health workers, because these are the frontline people. Without community health workers, we'll have no war. We'll definitely lose our war against corona. So that is one of the issues I wanted just to point out, and to actually request the county governments and the county assemblies and my fellow senators to be on the lookout, because a lot of money will be coming down to the counties, and we really need to oversight these monies and ensure that it has been put to good use. Mr. Speaker, I also want to talk on the issue of the restriction of movements of persons and the other measures like curfew that has been put in place. We sat down and discussed this matter with the CS, and the question that came up is that when we put these measures, do we just put them there and hope that corona goes away? The main issue here, what I'm addressing here, is that once we lock down an area, the first thing that should happen is testing. We should be able to test the people there and isolate whoever is positive. But here, we are finding that we are having a situation whereby we have put curfew in the whole of country, and nothing is going on. Yeah? Why lock down a place like Kibera and then don't do anything? So we are pushing, we are asking the national government that when you put such restrictions, what is the intention? We must have testing done immediately to ensure that we have, who is positive. And after we know who is positive, are the isolation centers ready? Because one thing I can assure you, those centers are not ready in the counties. So let's not have a situation where we have a talk shop. We should have a situation whereby we act and we see that action has been put in place. And we expect that, we really hope that the governors who will be given this money should put these things in place and ensure that testing is done, and whoever is found positive is put in quarantine or an isolation center. So those are the issues that I want to raise for now, but good work is going on, and as my chair said, that these issues of health are evolving. We are watching the COVID scenario in Kenya, and we will be keeping the House informed on whatever comes up during the course of our work. So with that, I second. Thank you.
Thank you. I propose the question, which is that the Senate adopts the third progress report of the ad hoc committee on COVID-19 situation in Kenya, laid on the table of the Senate on Tuesday, 28 April 2020. Senator Leader of Minority.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank the ad hoc committee for this report. This is not the first report they're making, but I think we can already see the fruits of their work. And I hope that when you consider the legislation, some of what is born in the report will find itself in the legislation. Mr. Speaker, earlier on, Senator Haniri described this as a war, except that this is a silent war with an invisible enemy. And in every war, there are always merchants. And therefore, I am encouraging the committee, this ad hoc committee and the Committee on Health, since this pandemic may not end in the near future, because the estimations are that probably the worst cases may go beyond the year, but thereafter, it may keep on recurring. I think there should be some synergy between the ad hoc committee and the Committee on Health, so that this is an ongoing exercise during the period at which there's national attention to this pandemic. Mr. Speaker, as I said, normally there are merchants of war. And in this particular case, we must watch out for these merchants, because the taxpayer has already played its part, and Parliament is playing its part. And as you know, funds, when they're made available in billions, the likelihood that there would be no transparency and accountability, that goes without us saying in Kenya. Those problems we are going to encounter in the course of this pandemic. Those who remember the National AIDS Control Council, which was established under the office of the President in 1999, suffered from a lot of problems, including loss of taxpayers' money. And in this regard, I hope that the part of the role that this ad hoc committee is going to play is to make sure that the money that is made available for this process is properly used. Second issue, Mr. Speaker, you remember the case of, what is it called? Madison. You remember the case by Marshall, Chief Justice Marshall. That case, in a way, involved four former American presidents, and it was about an official who had been appointed by one president, and the other president would not appoint. But the good thing about this case is it led to probably the decision in a case in America which is greater than any other in constitutional law, because it showed that however high the office is, you cannot sack or refuse to appoint or sack and fire public servants or state officers. In Kenya, I know you remember the case of Stephen Muridhi, who again was sacked by a former president. The matter later on was resolved by the courts. So I hope that this cabinet secretary who is in charge of health, a former senator, doing a very good job. I have no doubt about his capacity. But there are things that if you begin to do, they may raise the good work that one is doing. The public officers who are being, who are leading this struggle, particularly the scientists, they should not be treated in the manner in which it appears the director of chemistry was being treated. When we were appearing for doctors with my colleague, Senator Mtula Kilonzo, you know, a lot of people didn't realize at one time we will need these doctors. Now the whole world is looking for doctors. In fact, the other day, could you imagine Somalia sending 20 doctors to help Italy? Yeah? And can you imagine, as we have Cuban doctors here, another 200 went to South Africa. So doctors and health workers play a very, very important role, and I hope we will not just appreciate them now, but even in the future. You know, some people, when there is a crisis like the one we have at the moment, that is when they will they become very difficult. But I think our doctors and our health workers have shown that they are truly patriots and heroes, and they should be so recognized. The other day I was seeing in the social media somebody who had been frustrated at Bangadi Hospital and wanted to commit suicide. I mean, you could see all these health workers, including nurses, praying to this guy and entreating that, you know, please don't fall from the roof to commit suicide. These are some of the things they're dealing with, and they're not trained for it. Thirdly, Mr. Speaker, I think that the counties are not very well prepared, completely unprepared. You find in a county, somebody goes into a hall somewhere and say, you know, this is going to be our ward for the current time. Somebody sees that, you know, probably a stadium in the UK or in the United States has been turned into a hospital or a conference center. They also go to a stadium and put some tents there and hope that that will be able to deal with this pandemic. I think a time has come, and I hope that the governors will realize that they should be ready for these pandemics. Some of them, if they do their work properly, like I'm seeing the governor from Mombasa, can be readier than even the national government. And you could see that in the United States of America, some of the states are doing much better than the federal government. But finally, Mr. Speaker, you know, we live in a different world, and science is very, very important in the current, you know, world we live in. Be it in climate change or a lot of things which is confronting humanity. We should have people properly trained. We should have more research institutes, not just Cambridge. I think we need more of those institutes and give them money. And I hope the chairman, Mr. Sakaja, one of the things that you should look at is whether we are giving our research institution sufficient funds and resources so that we're not just good at sacking them when occasion arises, but you also look at whether they are properly trained, whether they have the right facilities. We want to see a Mr. Fauci in the Kenyan context, who speak the truth and speaking the truth to power. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Senator Faria. Well done, Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute to this report. Mr. Speaker, I wish to thank the committee and also the CS for Health, who I didn't have an opportunity of knowing, but who is doing a very good job under very difficult circumstances. Apart from the few hitches like the sacking of that person and also the burial of Siaya gentleman, which that went, but overall doing very well. Mr. Speaker, for me, this pandemic, I see a lot of opportunity in terms of Kenyans' opportunity, in terms of how enterprising this country is, Mr. Speaker. In such a way that right now we are producing our own PPEs, masks, and some students are also, even doing trial for ventilators. Mr. Speaker, if we are to, progress to the next level, and I think I need this committee to follow up on this one, in terms of our manufacturing dream and in terms of creating more jobs, Mr. Speaker, I see this pandemic as an opportunity for us to develop our manufacturing capacity. And Mr. Speaker, I don't know whether this can be legislated, but Mr. Speaker, I think we have a lot of cheap products from other countries, I don't want to name names, that are stifling our own small industries that would have come up. And Mr. Speaker, I think it is high time that the government and everybody else becomes patriotic to this country to ensure that we get, we realize our potential by protecting the small industries from cheap imports. And then, Mr. Speaker, the other issue that I see as an impediment to manufacturing in this country is electricity and scarce of electricity, Mr. Speaker. Up to today, Mr. Speaker, every other time, a county like Wajir, we are really have problems in terms of electricity and blackout in the whole county that is paralyzing everything. We are still using generators. We are not linked to the main grid, despite counties like Wajir having greatest potential in terms of green energy, in terms of the solar. And this country is not tapping out of that. And as long as electricity is expensive the way it is right now, we will suffer from competition from other countries, because electricity is one of the essentials that you need for manufacturing. And Mr. Speaker, other potentials other than solar, we have, like even there's been a lot of rains of late, which we keep on wasting and causing floods for communities instead of utilizing that water. And in terms of improving, the harnessing of that water, and the thermal energy that we have access to. Mr. Speaker, all these are things that we need to have access for, so that we become industrialized ourselves as a country. And Mr. Speaker, like my colleagues have mentioned, there are a lot of counties who are not prepared for this, for these pandemics, and the committee needs to fast track in terms of inquiry into this matter. And then, Mr. Speaker, the other issue is in terms of this, media reports about Senegal producing, able to produce mass production in terms of testing kits. I think our economy will continue suffering as long as we are on partial lockdown. Although we are not in total lockdown, there is a lot of economic loss in terms of even this partial lockdown. If we can actually, at a royalty of 50% of what they are producing, we can give them that royalty of 50%. That means $0.5, and then we can also help them produce mass, because we have, I think, a capacity to do that. That will also be also another way of ensuring that people are tested and each place is eliminated of the virus, so that at least if we know that, like for example, a place like Nairobi, everybody has been tested, and the virus is not there, then they start doing business from that time. Then, Mr. Speaker, that is an opportunity that we need. Of course, like other senators have also mentioned, we also have our own capacity in terms of producing our own test kits as well, in terms of better research. So that all those are avenues that we need to explore as as the committee interrogates this issue. So that, Mr. Speaker, we take this to the next.
What's your time?
To the next level. I wish to thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me an opportunity, and I also have some amendments for the bill that is coming.
We have not reached there.
Okay, thank you.
We are preempting debate. Order, Senator Faria.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well done. Senator Lagat.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for also giving me this opportunity to make my contribution. I want to thank the committee so much for the good work that they have done and a lot of effort that they have put, despite the challenges that the country is facing currently. My worry, Mr. Speaker, is that as much as we are fighting COVID-19, I have seen through the media a lot of challenges facing our people, especially in slums, as a result of lack of food. My worry is that we may be fighting COVID-19 only for our people to die at long last through malnutrition. So we would like to see from the concerned people, Mr. Speaker, what they are doing, even to the street children. I saw some well-wishers yesterday trying to feed some street children who are so malnutritionized that they are almost unable to speak. Another area I want to touch, Mr. Speaker, is somehow there is a strong disconnect between the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Education. I have seen sometimes the CS Education coming out with some weird statements on actually programs to do with education during this particular period of COVID-19.
You need to be a bit parliamentary.
Okay.
Unless you have a substantive motion, I don't think it's very appropriate to say the CS for Education is coming up with weird statements.
Yes, like I wanted to say, Mr. Speaker, may I not actually?
Yes.
Okay, may I just be?
Yeah, maybe some
bit
statements which require maybe further reflection, something like that.
Exactly. Okay, we shall go on that direction, maybe perhaps from next week, Mr. Speaker, so that so many people also are worried about matters to do with education, examinations, and the rest. And I tend to think that we shall take up as a committee on education on that, so that we may shed some light on the same. And I want to say that I'm happy that they touched on the area that was to do with motivation of the health workers. And I want to say it was unfortunate, Mr. Speaker, that Dr. Joel was sacked during this particular period of time when his services are needed most on such a singular maybe error or anything like that. And I want to say, Mr. Speaker, you're a professor, and to build a career to the professorship position, to build a career to the director position in this country is not something easy. And for us to allow somebody's career just to die at once, like that one, Mr. Speaker, is very much unpalatable. It is so serious. I know Dr. Choel, he has been very hardworking in Kemri, and this is the time that we need one another, and even we need to motivate these particular workers in one way or another. And therefore, to finish his career in such a simple way, Mr. Speaker, send a message to our workers in this country that you can be so hardworking, only one mess to mess up your career completely. So I want to thank the committee that they are already on it, and we expect that that particular matter will be handled seriously, Mr. Speaker. And I want to join the rest, Mr. Speaker, who are saying that the fight against corona in our counties has not been felt. One of those counties is Bomet. I was asking them what they have received from the national government, and they were telling me, so far, they have received only one, is it thermometer, this gun? Only one. That is worth almost 6,000. And when we hear that the government is spending almost 1 billion every day, it surprises everybody that this money goes to where. So our oversight now in this particular area should be strengthened, Mr. Speaker, so that we may know where taxpayers' money is heading to. I was seeing another committee on medical equipment scheme, Mr. Speaker, where in that committee we've sensed a lot of scandals. We have seen scandals in reality, and I'm afraid that the way we conduct things on matters COVID-19 might also lead us to the same direction, that we are wasting taxpayers' money. So I want to say, Mr. Speaker, sir, that issues to do with quarantine, the idea of mixing in the same quarantine facilities those who are abusing the directives from the government with those who are genuine has raised a lot of stigmatization, Mr. Speaker. That is why they are running away. In fact, I asked one who was actually followed up to Kericho-Bomet border, who had run away from the quarantine area. And he was saying that these quarantine areas are so dangerous that they are mixing up themselves. The facilities are very few, where they are taking birth in the morning, they're just one place, and therefore these particular areas can easily make one to get COVID-19. And that's why they are worried and they are running away.
Very well.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you. Avoid repetition, colleagues. Senator Shionga, just go to the point.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute on the ad hoc committee report on the COVID-19. Mr. Speaker, I'll start by thanking the committee chair and the members who have really worked around the clock to make this report what it is and how it's looking. Mr. Speaker, straight to the point, it is that the country is at war, as we are saying, and we are not different from other countries that have fought this war and they are still in the war. Mr. Speaker, in Kenya, we are fond of making advantage or taking advantage of any little aspect of intervention that we want to process or to do, to look into the working of the Kenyan country by reaping where we have not planted. I'm talking about, Mr. Speaker, transparency and accountability. There's so much money that has been mentioned, especially the tune of the 40 billion that the minister said that has been spent. We really need to know how this money, exactly how this money has been spent. And it will not be the story as usual, that money has been spent where it has not been spent. It is not the time when Kenyans need to listen and be told what has not been time. It is the time for us to fight this COVID and to make sure that this committee looks at where the money has gone, justify the money from the whoever that is responsible. It is the time the counties need actually to, the money need to roll down to the counties so that the counties need to justify to their citizens that they are working together with the national government and not in isolation or with few individuals. Mr. Speaker, it is very sad when we hear that at this time, when money is being used and we have the pandemic, that we do not have a substantive auditor general in the country. Country like Kenya, where we have scandals and scandals when it comes to money. It is the highest time the executive need to appoint, and we need to ratify, or the department that need to ratify the auditor general, so that the office is occupied and the money is accounted for. I'll go straight away to the point of quarantine. The quarantine issue, it is a good issue when it comes to a pandemic. And its work or its services are very important during such a pandemic. However, they have been abused, and it has turned into a cell or a sort of victimization. I want to say that there's money that is being collected in quarantine facilities. Can we know from the people who are handling this report who collect the money? How is it the money collected? Why is the money being collected? How much is being collected, and where are the accounts that this money is being taken to? And who suggested money being collected from these people who are quarantined, putting into consideration some get themselves into this situation without their knowledge or just because of contact tracing. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, I want to speak about a very important, and this is notification to the committee. Mr. Speaker, we have a very important kata of health personnel who are forgotten always when it comes to people to be, when it comes to patients' activity or assessing the patient. And these are health records and information officers. They are frontliners. They are receptionists who receive this patient. And these people are always forgotten to give in giving their views. And I urge the committee to please, if you don't mind, please allow these people to speak their mind, because they are the first people who receive the patient, they record, and they keep the confidentiality of this patient. They are important, and they need also to be protected. They need to be talked to, as I have said. Lastly, and my last point is, Mr. Speaker, it will never just go without speaking on the issue of sacking or as alleged demotion. Mr. Speaker, I happen to work with the Ministry of Health. I worked closely with the KEMRI, and it is very unfortunate that when KEMRI is putting his best foot in front to make sure that Kenya gets the best results or gets the best name when it comes to this pandemic, it is the time when it is its personnel are demotivated, and the sacking of the head of this particular department or this particular institute is a total demoralization that even other people, when it comes to motivation, they will not work in line with what they have been expertised for. So it is my prayer that when they are looking at this issue, let us know exactly what happened so that justice can be gotten. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Mutula Kilonzo.